custody. Police say shots were fired Monday at a home in the 3500 block of West 59th. 3 Chicago elementary school students are recovering after a dangerous scare that saw them consuming marijuana gummy edibles. The incident happened at Kilmer Elementary in the Rogers Park neighborhood. All 3 students were sent to the hospital, but they're expected to recover only after medical intervention. Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard's quest for re-election takes a big hit. State Senator Napoleon Harris received the Democrat nomination last night for Thornton Township Supervisor in the April 2025 election, blocking the incumbent Henyard entirely from the ballot. A defiant Henyard said before the meeting she is not finished.
They can't beat me. If they could beat me, they would have went to the polls. You will see. My people out here. They're not going to go nowhere. The show will go on.
It was the first time in 3 decades that Township Democrats used a caucus to determine who will be on the ballot. A man convicted of killing an incoming Northwestern graduate student in 2018 on Chicago's North Side is going to prison. Deontay Speed was sentenced to 60 years behind bars yesterday after being found guilty in October of first-degree murder in the shooting death of Shane Colombo. 4 former City Hall employees of the mayor's office are alleging retaliation after being placed on the city's do not hire list, a move that prevented them from working in any city government job.
Anyone that would call and ask about me, the first thing they would say is that I'm on the do not hire, and they're not going to extend on that. They're not going to say why. That's the first thing they're going to hear, and then they already made their assumptions about me. It completely ruined a future that I would have, and so it's not fair to me, and for the people behind me, it's not fair for them either.
Ashley Rodriguez worked on the social media team for both Mayor Lori Lightfoot and Mayor Brandon Johnson. She said she was fired and added to the do not hire list. Johnson says he was unaware of the allegations against his former chief of staff until recently. However, 32nd Ward Alderman Scott Wagaspak yesterday expressed skepticism about the mayor's claim. The staffers claimed they were punished for speaking out against Ronnie Reese. The former mayoral communications director was fired last week following reports of sexual harassment, misogyny, and a hostile work environment. Mayor Brandon Johnson himself is not backing down to his critics. During a speech yesterday at the City Club, the mayor said he's not intimidated by the moment.
This moment does not intimidate me. This is not a moment where I'm afraid. In fact, I am even more energized to disrupt the status quo in this city, to transform it on behalf of the people of this city.
Johnson has been under fire over budget issues and the harassment claims against his former communications director. An investigation is underway after a 15-year-old boy was killed in a shooting on Chicago's Southside. Police say the teen was found shot in the head yesterday inside of a home along South Parnell. Former Chicago alderman who cooperated with the government has finished testifying at the corruption trial of former Illinois House Speaker Democrat Michael Madigan and co-defendant Michael McLean. In a conversation Daniel Solis recorded on December 18 of 2017, Alderman referred to Chicago Chinatown developers Eddie Nye and Ray Chin, and then Speaker Madigan.
In the past, I have been able to steer some work to Mike, and these guys will do the same thing.
McLean suggested a dual path for developing state-owned land in Chinatown in the case of IDOT, then under Governor Bruce Rauner, and IDOT rejected the early plan.
If that's what we think is happening, then we want to get inside the Pritzker group, so in 2019, the Pritzker IDOT will say okay.
The trial scheduled to resume this morning at the Dirksen Federal Building. A man died in a grain silo incident working on a farm in Lowell, Indiana. Lake County Sheriff's Department said the incident happened at a farm in northwest Indiana in the 2200 block of West 203rd. The man had been working with soybeans inside that silo. An electric bus manufacturer in the southwest suburbs is shutting down. Lion Electric officials announcing that as a result of suspending operations, 400 workers will be laid off. The plant opened in July of last year and had plans of producing 20,000 vehicles a year. Longtime Bears and 49ers kicker Robbie Gould stepping down as head football coach at Rolling Meadows High School. The Bears' all-time leading scorer resigned a month after the team finished a 5-5 season that saw them lose in round one of the IHSA Class 7A playoffs. Gould was hired this past February. Blackhawks aim to avoid their fourth loss in a row when they host the Bruins at the United Center tonight. Northwestern lost a heartbreaker against Iowa, 80-79 at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Ty Berry hit a free throw to give the Wildcats a lead, but Iowa's Josh Dix hit a game-winning three at the buzzer to give the Hawkeyes the win. 6-3 Wildcats visit number 17 Illinois on Friday. In other college basketball action yesterday, Loyola with a win. Bradley took out SIU 83-60 in their Valley opener. Tonight, DePaul visits Texas. And a sad note, Illinois assistant coach Dana Dimmel is dead at the age of 62. He was a senior offensive assistant with the Fighting Illini in 2024. Dimmel had previously served as a head coach at Wyoming, the University of Houston, and Texas El Paso. The news, a service of Trim Light Chicago. Don't let hanging holiday lights get you in a Scrooge mood. 'Tis the season to save time, money, and energy with permanent, programmable holiday lighting for your home. Get your free quote today at trimlight-chicago.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get ready for a musical journey like no other when the Trans-Siberian Orchestra returns to Chicago on December 23rd on their Lost Christmas Tour 2024. AM 560 is giving away tickets. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/Christmas. Don't miss the Trans-Siberian Orchestra at the All-State Arena. Go to 560theanswer.com/Christmas.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world, one life at a time.
I'm Rick. I'm in the best shape of my life. I play a lot of golf. I work out and ride my bike. I'm 63 and I can still almost hit a golf ball 300 yards. I mean, when I'm in the gym, I can do 90-pound dumbbells. That's what I did when I was young. As long as I'm living, I'll keep taking my Balance of Nature because it makes a big difference.
Everything about your product is 100%. I look forward to it. I'll put it that way. I'm 71 years old. Balance of Nature is the absolute best product. I love your product. And you guys, when I call you on the phone, you're the best. So I'm very grateful.
Merry Christmas. This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee as a new preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
It's your life, your legacy. Shouldn't it be your choice? For nearly 2 centuries, Catholic Cemetery Chicago has been a haven for families, offering sacred spaces to honor these legacies. Take an active role by pre-planning your final arrangements. Alleviate your loved ones a future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of no interest payments and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combines heritage and innovation in every cup. Our coffee is locally roasted, hot air roasted, and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Whether you prefer a 12-ounce bag or a 28-ounce bag, or even the convenience of K-Cups, you'll find Papa Nicholas Coffee at your local retailer. Taste the difference that 5 generations of expertise brings. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee, because great coffee is our family tradition. Visit online at papanicholas.com. That's papanicholas.com.
It's 5:12, a check of the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of work.illinois.gov. Benefits, real work-life balance from a state job? Really? The Illinois EPA is hiring. Find really great careers at work.illinois.gov. Jane Addams Clearing an accident westbound I-90 this morning at Route 59. Stop and go, brake lights flashing due to construction work. Eastbound 8094 between Grant and Broadway. I-55 has an exit ramp closed due to construction. It's the southbound 55 off-ramp to Joliet Road right near I-355. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Here's AccuWeather's Steve Williams.
A wind advisory this afternoon. Clouds, a snow shower late today, the high at 37. Snow shower this evening, otherwise clear, windy, and frigid. Low tonight 13. Partly sunny, windy day tomorrow. Very cold day, the high at 28. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Cloudy, windy, 26 at O'Hare, 26 Midway, 23 in Aurora, 28 in Joliet, 26 Lakefront, with a wind chill of a wind chill of 3 above, with those gusty winds at about 25 this morning. Your next news update is 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560. The Answer.
The new administration has hinted at one of its boldest moves yet, America's return to the gold standard. Backing the U.S. dollar with gold would create stability in a time of rapid economic change, pushing the price of gold higher than we've seen in decades. Those who act now could be positioned to benefit the most. Premier Gold specializes in helping those with a 401k, IRA, or other types of retirement accounts utilize a little-known loophole to move some of their savings into physical gold. Today, they'd like to send you a free gold standard kit to help you decide if this process is right for you. Call 606-800-8000 to take advantage of current rollover policies. Early action on physical gold could position your portfolio for maximum growth. Call Premier Gold at 606-800-8000. Call 606-800-8000 now. Premier Gold is not a financial advisor. Please consult with your advisor before investing. Call 606-800-8000.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. 630-674-1551.
I think one of the things that patients don't realize is that when they get a joint replacement, that's not a lifetime treatment option. And they're probably, if they are a younger patient, signing up for multiple surgeries down the road.
As a physician and medical director for QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli's seen a pattern of trending joint pain. Prolonged medication, steroids, then surgery, possibly another surgery.
So a lot of our patients are trying to avoid or put off surgery, and this is the treatment that can help them do that.
QC Kinetics extracts your body's healing substances, concentrates them back into your aching joints to help heal and restore those areas, providing lasting relief.
Oh, I love being able to tell my patients, before we do this surgery, let's try another option. Let's see if this is right for you, because now they might not have to have surgery at all.
Call today for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auctions. Here's a fact. Extra cash is a really good thing right now. Here's another fact. There has never been a better market for antique items than right now. Donley Auctions wants everything you have when it comes to antique collections. Their worldwide audience is waiting to give you top dollar for them. Call them at 815-923-7000. If you have a weapon of any kind, any military items, they are in desperate need of military items and guns, as they are a state and federal licensed arms dealer. So you don't have to worry about any of the nonsense they can go with other auction sites. Give them a call, 815-923-7000, or go to DonleyAuctions.com. If you have classic cars, old signs, coin-operated machines, the list is crazy long of the items they want to help you sell. If somebody has passed away and you have estate items, antiques, they are in desperate need. Just call 815-923-7000. They're waiting for your call now.
The Illinois Family Institute believes in the good people of Illinois. We're their voice in Springfield, and we keep them informed about what's happening in government, local school districts, and in our culture. And yes, we know there are a lot of problems with Illinois. Taxes are too high, indoctrination going on in our government schools. Many of our elected officials think commercialized marijuana, more gambling, and taxpayer funding of abortion will solve our state's problems. The Illinois Family Institute is here to stand for the people of Illinois and the common sense values that we share. We have some great resources for folks who would like to make a difference. I'm Dave Smith with Illinois Family Institute. If you want to be part of the solution, please give us a call and visit our website, 708-781-9328 or illinoisfamily.org. illinoisfamily.org.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Pete Hegseth out, Ron DeSantis in at DOD. That's a question mark right now. But it's not good if you're Pete Hegseth when the Wall Street Journal is posting stories such as this one. Trump mulls replacing Pete Hegseth with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. And that's also the turnkey.pro text line. Is it time to cut bait on Pete Hegseth and bring in a replacement, Ron DeSantis? I mean, there are other names being mentioned, but that would be certainly the most interesting given the last primary election. Anyway, Hegseth has not lost any Republican senators publicly yet, but stories like this that are obviously leaks from MAGA world, MAGA headquarters, suggest that he's faltering. And this could, he could be, seems to me, asked to fall on the sword a la Matt Gaetz in the next 24 to 48 hours if conditions don't improve. Here's an example of sort of where you're hearing some Republican rumblings. Dan Sullivan, who's a senator from Alaska, Republican, asked about Hegseth's nomination, and he's not scuttling Hegseth, but it's not a full embrace either.
The Pentagon needs a serious course correction, so I'm going to have a lot of questions for him, but I think, he's the kind of guy who can do that.
Are you going to have questions about these allegations that have come out? Yeah.
I mean, but there's a process for that. Sometimes you got to take these allegations seriously. Sometimes, even when you take them seriously, they turn out to be inaccurate.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that statement. I mean, he recognizes that Hegseth is a smart guy, and he's got a distinguished service record. We've talked about that. So it's sort of a surprising pick, but then you hear from people who know him, people that are serious, thoughtful people, Andy McCarthy and others that say, KT McFarland I talked to, same thing, known Hegseth for a long time. Hegseth is a smart, capable guy. He's got the right can-do attitude when it comes to culture change at DOD. Obviously, he needs to surround himself with deputies that can manage the almost impossible task of day-to-day operations at the Pentagon. But that this is somebody certainly with the capacity for the job. Problem is that these drip, drip, drip of salacious stories around Hegseth are essentially slowly drowning his nomination.
Right. And the longer, it just feels like this has been simmering, and now his coworkers are coming forward saying that they smelled alcohol on his breath a few times when he was at work, and they're concerned about his drinking.
There's a bunch of stuff, but the larger point here too is, the Trump vetting. there was something made of the fact that the Trump team wasn't using the FBI to do background checks. And I perfectly understand why. They didn't trust them, which is totally understandable. And so they were using outside investigators, if you will, to do background checks on nominees or prospective nominees prior to their announcement. But it seems like there was some impetuousness, as I said before, with respect to some of these nominees, including ones you knew were going to be high profile and under intense scrutiny. And I don't know how you can rationalize the story, if true, that, for example, the Trump team was blindsided by the 2017 settlement of a sexual harassment claim. And so if you didn't know that, then it's not surprising that you don't know all of these other things that have now come out, because the New York Times and other D.C. press outlets have been digging, unsurprisingly. They're so good at it, they've got emails from Pete Hegseth's mom criticizing Pete Hegseth, which she has now sort of disavowed as, a moment of consternation between the two when he was going through a difficult time in a previous marriage. Okay, fine. But I mean, it just doesn't look terribly good. And when it comes to vetting, obviously Ron DeSantis has been thoroughly vetted. And so, for example, if you were going to switch DeSantis in, who's got a service record as well and has showed a great executive management aptitude over his 2 terms, now in his second term as Florida governor, of course, and it seems like, more or less they've put the ugliness of the primary behind them. I'm talking about DeSantis and Trump. Then maybe it's time to make that change. The important point here is Trump has a team around him that is competent and trustworthy and completely aligned on the consummation of the counter-revolution that has been offered, that was promised. And so, I'm not trashing Hegseth here to say that if you become more of a liability, more of a distraction, then at some point you may be asked, or you may decide to volunteer to fall on the sword.
God, then can he go back to Fox, to his weekend show, or is he done? Would you even want to go back there, considering they turned on him? And I just don't snitch on coworkers. Like, if somebody has a problem, I don't know. I can't see.
It's anonymous snitching too, but the whole anonymous Fox people saying that he drinks too much or something, that's one thing. But you've got this New Yorker story. That suggests also sort of financial mismanagement and other issues when he was affiliated with Veterans Organization. A previously undisclosed whistleblower report on Hegseth's tenure as president of the Concerned Veterans for America from 2013 to 2016 describes him as being repeatedly intoxicated while acting in his official capacity, to the point of needing to be carried out of the organization's events.
Yeah,
this was compiled by multiple former Concerned Veterans for America employees sent to the organization's senior management. February 2015 states at one point Hegseth had to be restrained while drunk from joining the dancers on the stage of a Louisiana strip club where he had brought his team. They also talked about him pursuing females in the organization, dividing them into 2 groups, the party girls and the not party girls, and so on and so forth. Just sort of the allegation is sort of the bad frat boy behavior.
Frats don't behave like that anymore.
Some do, and it's unbecoming an officer, if you will, and unbecoming a prospective Secretary of Defense. And again, what Senator Sullivan said is right, which is to say these are allegations and they need to be thoroughly investigated. But it seems like the Trump team was caught off guard by all that has come out around Hegseth.
They don't like surprises. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line. You can also text us on that very same line.
Now, again, Trump has a history of standing by people if they want to put in the fight, a la Brett Kavanaugh. I guess the question is they need to make an assessment of how much truth is contained in these allegations? Will there be more ugliness uncovered? And how well they think Hegseth will hold up under scrutiny and particularly the scrutiny of a confirmation hearing. Bill in Elburn.
Hey, Dan and Amy, love you guys' show.
Thank you.
I'm getting sick and tired of the communists, man. The communist media, the swamp. They keep doing this. They do this to every Republican pick. If it's Herman Cain, if it was Alan Keyes, could have been the first black president. You can go on down the list. They just find dirt on everybody, and it's just getting old, man. That's what they're going to do. So I just think they ought to lean into it. Just bring him in and let him do his job. He's a good man.
Thanks for the call. I mean,
he upon himself.
He certainly wouldn't be the first political appointee or cabinet level officer to have a history of enjoying libations and the company of women.
Yes, he's a philanderer. I mean, he's cheated on 3 people. His wife, and then his girlfriend. And then
is that alleged, or do you know this?
Oh, I'm sorry, allegedly.
I mean, are we going to have to start having you do Sunny Hostin legal notices?
Welcome back to the program. No, allegedly.
So I mean, again, to some extent, and at some point, maybe Hegseth, if he wants to fight and Trump wants to back that fight, maybe he needs to come forward and address these salacious allegations that are swirling around him in some substantive way. So, because I just, here's the problem he has. You get in a bit of a trick bag. You don't want to platform every allegation because then there'll be more and you're going to have a hard time separating fact from fiction in the public's mind. And that puts pressure on some weak-kneed senators. And if you don't do it, then you also have pressure being put on weak-kneed senators. It looks like you're hiding. You're just trying to plow through it and pretend this isn't happening, but it is happening. And there's going to be pressure brought on those weak-kneed senators one way or the other. So, my instinct is always to not allow yourself to be beat up in a back alley in politics, and that's what's happening right now. The Hegseth sort of private conversations with senators, we had a good talk, we had a good meeting. I'm going around and addressing issues and so on and so forth. That's not going to be good enough with this keeping up. And now we're at the point where, as I said at the outset, you've got the Wall Street Journal talking about the Trump team, talking about Ron DeSantis or other potential replacements. So it's fight or flight right now for Hegseth, as far as I'm concerned.
I want you to remember the fact that I said Governor DeSantis for Department of Defense a long time ago.
You weren't the only one. Paul in New Lenox.
Yeah, I just want to say Ulysses S. Grant was a drunk when he was fighting for the Union Army. They elected him president. The second point I wanted to bring up was, I was in the construction for 40 years, okay? You're only as good as your crew. I don't care if the crew's 2 men or 4 men or 120 men. I says you have to bring it to the table when you're doing a job and have to bring it in on time. Now, did he do this stuff while he was, in service and during the daytime, or was it on leisure time? I mean, everybody wants to cast the first stone, but because half the people in Washington, they never had a real job. So look at what he's done and not what he's done off time. That's all I have to say.
Thanks for the call, Paul. Marty, Naperville.
Hey, it's a simple thing to get everybody approved. Have him put a dress on, or else just say he's gay, and nobody will bother him. He's in. That's all I got to do. Boom, done.
All right.
Well, there's something to that. Yeah.
All right, Marty. All right, coming up at 5:38, we'll have more on the Trump team, the Trump selections, because you had his DEA selection withdraw about 24 hours after he was announced. So, again, the vetting issue here, do we really have a transition team, including the president, that is measuring twice and cutting once? That's 5:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
28 degrees at 5:32. President-elect Donald Trump's administration continues to take shape ahead of next month's inauguration. There's word he may be considering replacing his pick for defense secretary, former Fox News personality Pete Hegseth. Hegseth met with senators yesterday who will vote on whether he should become Secretary of Defense.
He's going to be for the people that actually do the fighting, not for the people that plan the fighting.
That's Alabama Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville, a backer of Hegseth. A new report from the Wall Street Journal says Donald Trump is looking at a few others right now, including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who has a strong military background. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is confirming he'll cooperate with ICE under certain circumstances to deport illegal immigrants.
Those who are here committing crimes, robberies, shooting at police officers, raping innocent people, have been a harm to our country. I want to sit down and hear the plan on how we're going to address them.
Adams emphasized at yesterday's news conference he wants to see those migrants who commit robberies or shoot at police deported as well. The Supreme Court will hear arguments today in a case challenging Tennessee's ban on so-called gender-affirming treatment for transgender minors. State of Missouri has executed a death row inmate. 49-year-old Christopher Collings was put to death by lethal injection. Collings was convicted of first-degree murder in the kidnapping, sexual assault, and strangulation of a 9-year-old girl back in 2007. A high five and kudos to a sheriff's deputy in Williamson County, Illinois, praised for rescuing a pregnant woman whose car wouldn't stop speeding toward a lake. Here's Fox's Ted Lindner with that story.
Police say the drama began with a frantic 911 won't stop and that her brakes weren't working. She then tells the operator she's 20 weeks pregnant and that she, quote, can't die today. The woman claimed the car was traveling about 30 miles an hour on a dark road and headed for a dead end near a lake. Deputy Tyler Coffey was the first to catch up to the runaway car and using a rolling roadblock maneuver was able to position his patrol car in front of the vehicle and bring it to a stop in what was described as a small collision. The woman, her dog, and the deputy were unharmed. Both cars sustained only minor damage. Ted Lindner, Fox News.
2 of the 3 people killed in a mass shooting at a house party on Chicago's southwest side have been identified. 8 people were shot there, including 3 who died. 2 of the 3 identified as John Carlos Blancarcer and Hector Sajo. 3 Chicago elementary school students are recovering after a dangerous scare that saw them consuming marijuana gummy edibles. The incident happened at Kilmer Elementary School in Rogers Park. All 3 students were sent to the hospital, but are expected to recover after medical intervention. A man convicted of killing an incoming Northwestern grad student in 2018 on the north side is going to prison for a long time. Deontay Speed was sentenced yesterday to 60 years behind bars. By the way, that shooting of Shane Colombo happened just hours after the victim arrived in Chicago to begin a doctoral program in psychology. An electric bus manufacturer in southwest suburban Channahon is shutting down. Lion Electric officials announcing the suspending of operations, laying off 400 workers. Northwestern lost a college hoops heartbreaker in Iowa, 80-79. Iowa's Josh Dix hit the game-winning 3 at the buzzer. In other college basketball, last night, Loyola with a win. Bradley took out SIU in their Valley opener. Tonight, DePaul visits Texas Tech, and UIC hosts Northern Iowa. The news, a service of Valdecast Windows. For the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional-level window replacement service, contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor. Valdecast.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Would you like to have your mortgage or rent paid for all of 2025? That sounds like a Christmas miracle, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly what AM 560 The Answer wants to do for you. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle to enter our Christmas Mortgage Miracle Contest presented by Team Hochberg. Enter once per day, every day, between now and December 20th, and you could have your rent or mortgage paid for all of next year. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They are a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean. Economic decline, political instability, and corruption, and high food prices.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor and their partners who are providing life-saving food relief on the ground. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water. Or consider giving a gift of $200, which would provide life-saving food for 4 children for an entire year.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. That's 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor, or just click on the Give Life banner.
And if you are a small business owner or you make the marketing or advertising decisions for a business, then this message is for you.
Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor. Just make a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor, and AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air right here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you. To take advantage of this deal, just call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951, or go to 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor.
MyPillow is glad to announce that their Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. The famous My Slippers. They haven't been on sale for over a year. Regular price $119.98, now only $59.98. The 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. From bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and be sure to use promo code LIBERTY to save on all MyPillow products. That's 800-489-0201, promo code LIBERTY. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98, or the 6-piece towel sets for just $29.98. But that's not all. They're extending their 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st, 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free, or use promo code LIBERTY at MyPillow.com.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for Townhall.com. Donald Trump has promised to close the Department of Education. It's about time. Despite spending hundreds of billions since its founding in 1979, student test scores have gone down. If we're going to do right by America's children, serious reforms are in order. It's time to get education policy out of Washington and into laboratories of experimentation in the states. The left claims that more spending will fix education. That's just not true. In New York, they spend the most, $30,000 per child, but only 33% of students are reading proficient. In Florida, they spend $10,000 per child, but 80% are reading proficient. Federal regulations and oversight won't improve education. Experimentation, state and local control, and parental choice is the way to prepare our children for lives of dignity and fulfillment. It's time for serious and substantive reform.
541, let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. An update, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Stevenson, 30 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. You got an off-ramp closed, southbound 55. The ramp to Joliet Road shut down until 8 a.m. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Clouds, maybe an afternoon snow shower. Could really gum up the afternoon drive. High 37. Currently 28, a wind chill of 14 above this morning. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We're talking about some of the controversies surrounding certain Trump nominees, and while he's putting together a good cabinet and important senior level officials, it just is unfortunate, unhelpful that there is so much self-inflicted controversy around high-profile departments and nominees like first Gates, then Hegseth, well, almost concurrent, and the DEI. The DEA. So used to talking about DEI. The DEA selection, yes. Hillsborough County Sheriff, Florida Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Chronister, who was leveled up to run drug enforcement, and then magically 24 hours later decided that he hadn't really fully contemplated the responsibilities of the job, and he just doesn't think at this time he can fulfill them effectively, which runs concurrent with a lot of blowback that Chronister was getting from conservatives for his record, in particular during COVID, where he didn't exactly mirror the approach that Ron DeSantis, his governor, took.
Yep.
Chronister, among other things, was one who would post these messages like a good COVIDian.
I'm Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Chronister. While we want everyone to limit their public movement during the COVID-19 health crisis, outdoor recreation is still possible, even on our beautiful waterways. If you decide to go boating, remember you must also remain socially distanced from other boaters.
Gross.
Make sure that you keep 50 feet between you and other vessels on the water. Also, be sure that you are following the CDC's guidelines for social distancing. If you have any questions or concerns while on the water, our Marine Unit deputies will be there to assist you. For a list of boat ramp closures, you can visit hillsboroughcounty.org.
But it's not just that. He arrested a pastor named Ronald Howard Brown, pastor of the River at Tampa Bay Church, for, he said, repeatedly disregarding state and local public health orders, which put his congregation and our community in jeopardy. But at the same time, he, along with the chief judge in that county, released 165 prisoners to protect our detention deputies, their families, our inmate population, and ultimately our community. Well, one of those allegedly nonviolent inmates who was released
became violent,
committed a murder.
Yeah.
So
we're sad. Too bad. Bye-bye.
We're arresting Christian pastors. We're releasing inmates. We're sending measuring tape out with boaters to make sure they're 50 feet apart. And also, his own deputies, if you didn't like what Biden did with the armed services, you might not like this. I put out a policy a while ago that if you are unvaccinated and you have to quarantine or you get ill, you have to use your own accrued time. If you are vaccinated and you get sick, the sheriff's office will cover your time.
Yeah.
So the disparate treatment of the vax versus the unvaxxed. Also, I mean, he's, all on board to celebrate Pride Month and do all of the identitarian charades that you're supposed to do. Now, look.
Why would Trump pick him in the first place?
Well,
what redeeming qualities does he have? Please help me out.
He was the sheriff. He's been in the sheriff's office there for 3 decades. I think he was sheriff for the last 6 or 7 years. Probably has a relationship with Trump. Probably knows him. Hillsborough County is the Tampa-St. Pete area.
Bradenton.
The Grady Judd, actually, Polk County, who's about as law and order as you get. He spoke highly of Chronister and the nomination, so that may have helped. But here's the other thing that you have to keep in mind with law enforcement, especially at the municipal level, which effectively this is. He's basically, even though he's an elected official, I mean, he is somewhat beholden to the local executive officials, like the mayors of Tampa and St. Pete and other spots. So, and Tampa and St. Pete are, they're left-leaning places.
Right.
They have left-leaning politicians. So, perhaps this is him having to get along with people that he may disagree with on some issues. But, that's sort of the best case I can make for him, which is not a great one. And here again, the question becomes, it's not whether Chad Chronister is qualified. It's not whether Pete Hegseth is qualified. It's because it's in comparison to all other options. And what are the costs and benefits? And at some point, what are the costs and benefits of putting in the fight when there are other qualified, aligned options that don't get you bogged down in protracted public and political fights, right? Because they want to go fast. They know they're on a 2-year clock.
Right.
They got to get. They're trying to get as much done and as many meetings held and telegraphing to the country and the world what they're going to do, and we're going to be prepared to do it on day one. The executive orders are being drafted. January 20th, they're going to be signed. I mean, they want to go. Well, you don't want to get sidetracked by these some perhaps unnecessary protracted fights. You don't want to just cave either when you have somebody that you've leveled up and they are subject to the slime machine in D.C. I'm not saying that. But at some point there has to be a cost-benefit analysis done. And again, for Chronister to be nominated for this, all of this stuff that's, on X. I mean, it's not like it's not findable.
Right.
You know what the reaction from conservatives is going to be. And if that is going to derail his nomination, then you should have never made it in the first place.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line, you could text us on that very same line. Maybe he just didn't want to move to D.C.
Well, I
or
think
maybe
that would
he
be,
really didn't want to go through the vetting process.
I think that would have been contemplated when he said, yes, Mr. President, I'm honored to serve as your. And this is an important post, too, because, I mean, not just in its own right, but all the problems we know with these law enforcement agencies talking to one another. They go on operations that are sometimes catastrophic. Lives are lost. Think of ATF's Fast and Furious and Brian Terry being killed. Think of, with DEA, think of Kiki Camarena being killed in Mexico in the 80s, which changed everything about our approach to the Mexican drug cartels. So, I mean, and also, again, the coordination with the overarching issue of our national security and border security being an integral part of that. So AG, DOD, DEA, this is not where you want to be bogged down in controversies that push you off on tangents when you're on a 2-year clock and you're trying to have everything buttoned down so that you can go full speed on January 20th.
Got a text message, Dan and Amy. I heard the DEA guy was a Pam Bondi pick. What does that say about Bondi?
Well, again, Grady Judd, I mean, Grady Judd likes him too. So maybe he was just playing local politics and doing what he was effectively told to do. If you're folding in with the rest of the politicos at the local level during COVID and then some of these other matters. I don't know.
I was a COVIDian and I changed my mind. I mean, I was wearing a Tyvek suit, for gosh sakes.
Well, I agree. I'm aware, but then the question comes, so do you want to stand and deliver on the topic? So you can just choose to walk away. That's what he did. But you can also say, look, upon further reflection, some of the judgments I made that were outside of my area of expertise, talking about public health decisions, I'm a law enforcement guy, turned out to be the wrong decisions. I mean, it's okay to make an error in judgment because we all do them. But we want people that are going to account for those errors in judgment and demonstrate something was learned from those errors in judgment. That's all. I don't think that's too much to ask. So if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to, throw down and make the case and respond to questions and criticisms, well, then this is the wrong arena for you. There's no question about that. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Ho, ho, ho! Time to check the list.
Hey, Santa, you're looking a little rosier than usual.
Yeah, big guy. Is your blood pressure okay?
Gee, I hope so.
You should drink 120 Life.
Totally. 120 Life is a natural way to help control blood pressure without the side effects of medication.
It's a delicious juice drink and powdered mix with natural ingredients like pomegranates and tart cherries.
It tastes great and is shown to work wonders for blood pressure.
Ho, ho! Best put 120 Life on my list.
Try 120 Life yourself, risk-free, with a 2-week trial pack. Order now. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code CHRISTMAS to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give you your money back if you're not satisfied. Lower blood pressure is the gift that keeps on giving. Order now to get the Christmas special of 15% savings and free shipping. That's 120life.com. Use coupon code CHRISTMAS at checkout.
Kids headed to college? Paying for college and avoiding student loan debt has never been more challenging. Hi, I'm attorney Ray Kaplan from Kaplan Law Firm. Our student loan consultants will help you plan smarter for college by navigating and understanding all available student loan options. Schedule a consultation today at 312-294-8989 or go to financialrelief.com. The rules around student loans have never been as complex as they are today. Kaplan Law Firm, 25 East Washington Street, Chicago. Financialrelief.com.
I love to travel. I've been to Easter Island, the Galapagos, Morocco, India, and the first item that I pack is my balance of nature.
Whether you're taking a vacation, visiting loved ones, or discovering new destinations, traveling is exciting. But let's face it, sometimes it's easy to prioritize everything else over your well-being when you're on the go. Balance of Nature offers a simple solution. Formulated from 31 whole fruit and vegetable ingredients, our fruits and veggie supplements are encapsulated and easily fit into your busy travel itinerary. Between bustling airports and scenic roads, Balance of Nature is the perfect addition to your wanderlust lifestyle. Merry Christmas! This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee as a new preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They are a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner.
This is David Hochberg with an emergency mortgage alert. If you're purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. It finally happened. After 30 long and excruciating months, Fed Chair Powell just lowered interest rates 0.5 point, which means credit cards, car and home equity loans will be lower and less expensive. Most importantly, mortgage rates have dropped dropped to their lowest levels since last February. The past 3 years have knocked out over 60% of our competition, who are back in the mall spinning pretzels and folding underpants. Team Hochberg's weathered the storm and is ready to help you, your friends, and family reduce your rate and monthly payments. If your interest rate is 7 or above, call Team Hochberg now. Not when you get home, not tomorrow, now for a complimentary mortgage review. 855-563-2843 or 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
Have you seen what's been happening in the stock market lately? The market has had some rough days. And if you think those numbers don't mean anything to you and your retirement plan, think again. Can you afford to lose a big chunk of your retirement savings in a single day at this stage of your life? If you want to make sure you aren't taking on more risk than you're comfortable with, call the team at Scott Tucker Solutions now. 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. Make sure you're prepared for whatever happens in the market, and if you already have a retirement plan, let's take a look to make sure you're properly diversified. Call Scott Tucker Solutions today to help make sure more bad days in the market don't disrupt your retirement plans. 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. That's 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
AM 560, The Answer.
A little bit more on Chad Cronister, the Hillsborough County Sheriff that Trump had nominated to be his head of the Drug Enforcement Agency, and then who withdrew his nomination yesterday. Spence Rogers is a conservative political consultant in Florida, also a combat veteran. He's got the drop on Cronister, including this. He gave money to Barack Obama, Jane Castor, Democrat, Congressman Kathy Castor, Democrat, Congressman Charlie Crist, Democrat, and the DNC.
Oh.
He also, in addition to being on board for the LGBTQIA+++ identitarian business, expanded the office's DEI programs, been made a proponent of anti-white male discrimination by removing merit as a primary role for advancement, according to Spence Rogers. Maybe Spence Rogers, this consultant from Florida, needs to be on the Trump transition team to do the vetting.
Yep.
I mean, this doesn't seem like it was a close call. So the Trump transition team needs to up its game with respect to the prepping here as nominations are put forward.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, he continues to move away from his party's lunatic base. He wants to meet with Tom Homan. 6:06.
And our mayor does not know that he's not in the crowd. Today we're going to have a snow shower late in the afternoon, a high of 37 degrees. It is 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Another Trump nominee is out and yet another may follow. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The president-elect's pick to take over the Pentagon may not make it to the cabinet, like Matt Gaetz, who was replaced by Pam Bondi as Attorney General nominee. Fox's Peter Ducey reports.
Pete Hegseth is still President-elect Trump's pick to be the defense secretary, but because Republican senators remain unconvinced about explanations they have heard or have not heard yet about these unconfirmed reports of bad behavior in Pete Hegseth's past, Trump is now considering Ron DeSantis, according to the Wall Street Journal.
That's DeSantis, of course, is Florida's governor. A Florida sheriff, meanwhile, is backed out as the Trump pick to lead the Drug Enforcement Administration. Chad Cronister faced a conservative pushback over his arrest of a pastor during the pandemic for holding church services violating COVID restrictions. The Supreme Court this morning will take up a big transgender rights case, considering a challenge to Tennessee's ban on puberty blockers and other gender-affirming treatments for kids.
We're looking for the court to hopefully affirm the right of states to be able to regulate these types of medical procedures, especially on children. We know the science is unsettled. There are potentially long-term harmful side effects of these surgeries and use of these medications.
Tennessee Republican State Senator Jack Johnson. Critics argue those kinds of state bans are transgender discrimination. The last uncalled House race has been called, and it's a win for Democrats. Adam Gray has unseated Congressman John Duarte in California by just 187 votes, but Republicans will still hold a very slim House majority in the next Congress. Political drama in South Korea, where the president may be impeached.
The shock decision by President Yoon Suk-yeol to declare martial law has ended up with President Yoon himself on the brink. Lawmakers climbed over Parliament's walls, gaining entry to the chamber and unanimously voting to overrule the order. President Yoon deployed troops, accusing the opposition of being criminals and anti-state forces.
Jonathan Savage, America's listening to Fox News.
It's 28 degrees in Chicago at 6:02 on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 2 of the 3 people killed in a mass shooting at a house party on Chicago's southwest side have been identified. 2 of the 3 identified as John Carlos Blancarcer and then Hector Sancho. No one is in custody, and police tell us shots were fired Monday at a home in the 3500 block of West 59th Street. Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard's quest for re-election is taking a big hit. State Senator Napoleon Harris received the Democrat nomination last night for Thornton Township Supervisor in the April 2025 election, blocking the incumbent Henyard from the ballot.
Guys, have a good night, eat the food, and be merry. This meeting is adjourned.
A defiant Henyard said before the meeting, she's not politically finished.
They can't beat me. If they could beat me, they would have went to the polls. You will see. My people out here. They're not going to go nowhere. The show will go on.
Henyard is also mayor of Dalton and is under federal investigation in both roles. 4 former employees of the mayor's office are alleging retaliation for being placed on the city's do not hire list, a move that prevented them from working in any city government job.
Anyone that would call and ask about me, the first thing they would say is that I'm on the do not hire, and they're not going to extend on that. They're not going to say why. That's the first thing they're going to hear, and then they already made their assumptions about me. It completely ruined a future that I would have, and so it's not fair to me, and for the people behind me, it's not fair for them either.
Ashley Rodriguez was on that do not hire list. Mayor Brandon Johnson says that he was unaware of any allegations tied to the do not hire list.
Absent this FOIA request, it's not clear on whether or not the process would have or not have revealed all that which is in the file.
The staffers claim they were punished for speaking out against Ronnie Reese, the mayor's former communications director. All 4 were taken off the do not hire list. College hoops, Northwestern lost a heartbreaker against Iowa, 80-79 at Carver Hawkeye Arena last night. 6-3 Cats now visit number 17 Illinois on Friday. Also last night, Loyola with the win. Bradley took out SIU in their Valley opener, and tonight DePaul visits Texas Tech. The news, a service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of Ad Properties, Christie's International Real Estate, experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago with over $800 million in sales. 708-828-0000. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Would you like to have your mortgage or rent paid for all of 2025? That sounds like a Christmas miracle, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly what AM 560 The Answer wants to do for you. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle to enter our Christmas Mortgage Miracle Contest presented by Team Hochberg. Enter once per day, every day between now and December 20th, and you could have your rent or mortgage paid for all of next year. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
When they say free, they really mean check the fine print. They say free iPhone, but only if you trade in your $1,000 phone, pay $100 a month for unlimited data, and also a $35 activation fee. Now, Pure Talk, they have a better option. You'll get a brand new iPhone 14 with unlimited talk, text, 15 gigabytes of data, mobile hotspot for just $50 a month. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk.
My name is Dr. Joe Mealy. I've been a dentist for 56 years, and I'm a certified nutritional consultant. I started taking Balance of Nature 15 years ago. I think most people think when they eat fruits and vegetables, this is their idea of fruits and vegetables. I had an apple today. I had a pear today. I had a banana. That's their fruits and vegetables. They don't understand that each one of those fruits and vegetables has different nutrients than the others. Balance of Nature has made a significant difference in my life, in my wife's life. I feel we're on this earth to help each other, and if other people can benefit from my experience, I think that would be one of the best ways I could justify still being here at 81.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee as a new preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
6:07. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations. Hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. On the roads this morning, the Kennedy inbound, a half-hour O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. I-55 southbounders, you've got a blocked off-ramp to Joliet Road, construction until 8 a.m. Tri-State already brake lights between the Reagan I-88 and the Eisenhower merge. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
A wind advisory this afternoon. Clouds, a snow shower late today, the high at 37. Snow shower this evening, otherwise clear, windy, and frigid. Low tonight 13. Partly sunny, windy day tomorrow. Very cold day, the high at 28. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
At O'Hare, 28 degrees, a wind chill of 15 above. Along the lakefront, 27, a wind chill of 16 above. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, continues his delicate but unmistakable march away from the new Marxist base of his party. Presser yesterday talking about illegal immigrants in New York City, New York State, sanctuary state. But the discussions that are being driven by Adams and to a lesser extent Governor Hochul right now, they don't sound like sanctuary city and sanctuary state politicians. In fact, Eric Adams wants to meet with Tom Homan.
Those who are here committing crimes, robberies, shooting at police officers, raping innocent people, have been a harm to our country. I want to sit down and hear the plan on how we're going to address them. Those are the people I am talking about, and I would love to sit down with the Board of Czar and hear his thoughts on how we're going to address those who are harming our citizens.
You're open to that?
Open to?
To hearing what their plan is to deport some of these folks, and you think the city, in some circumstances, should cooperate with ICE.
Let me. You know what's interesting? And I was talking to the team the other day. I want you to all go back and Google Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Google what they said about those who commit crimes in our city and what they said in our country. They said those who commit crimes need to get out right away. That was their position. So this is not a new position, because in the state of in the era of cancel culture, no one's afraid to be honest about the truth. Well, cancel me, because I'm going to protect the people of this city. And if you come into this country, in this city, and think you're going to harm innocent New Yorkers and innocent migrants and asylum seekers, this is not the mayor you want to be in the city under.
You don't have to Google Obama or Hillary. We've got them right here. Here's Obama.
If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. What I'm describing is accountability, a common sense middle ground approach.
Here's Hillary.
So I think we got to have tough conditions. Tell people to come out of the shadows. If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked. They're gone. If they've been working and are law-abiding, we should say, here are the conditions for you staying. You have to pay a stiff fine because you came here illegally. You have to pay back taxes, and you have to try to learn English, and you have to wait in line.
Try and learn English?
Wait,
what?
what?
That's not from like 1992 either. That's from within the last decade.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
It shows you how captive the Democrat Socialist Party is to the open borders new Marxists that control it. When Eric Adams talked about you're not allowed to say things that are patently obvious, like we should remove people from this country who come here illegally and then prey on other people. This is a controversial statement these days, and this is why Eric Adams had to say, you want to cancel me, then cancel me. That's the perfect commentary on that political party. And you're either openly supportive of it or you quietly dissent. But very few have stepped out the way that Eric Adams is now stepping out. And it's interesting because I think it provides an opportunity. We've talked about this before with Chris Whalen and others. Republicans need to make a play for big city America, big blue city America. And it seems to me Eric Adams is providing the opportunity. He wants to meet with Tom Homan. If I'm Tom Homan, I go meet with him.
Oh,
and I'm sure Tom Homan will.
He will. Of course he will.
Yeah. But all the talk is about, these demagogic mayors like BLM Brandon, like that Mike Johnston character in Denver, that are willing to be arrested to protect their residents, even the ones illegally, and all of this sort of cross of gold type of speechifying they're doing in defense of illegal immigration, in defense of open borders. This is where everybody wants to put the focus. If I'm Tom Homan, I take a mayor like an Eric Adams, and maybe there will be others that follow suit since Adams is sort of breaking the seal here. And I say, okay, well, let's work together. And you know what, Eric? If you want to do a Greg Abbott program and move people to the sanctuary city of Chicago or the sanctuary city of Denver, where those mayors are welcoming them with open arms, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. We'll work with you. We're going to work with cities that want to restore some aspects of sanity, and the cities that don't, let them burn, basically. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, as well as the turnkey.pro text line.
And that would be Chicago.
Well,
I wonder, why are reporters not asking, what is your plan when ICE comes to deport people who have committed crimes? Repeat offenders. Mayor Johnson, Governor Pritzker.
You hear their answers, the non-answer,
right,
that you get all the time. That's we are a welcoming community. We are not going to allow families to be separated, and so on and so forth. They just dance around the issue with the talking points and the misdirectional rhetoric they've been using for, their entirety in public office.
But they're not the cool kids anymore. It's over. Trump is the cool kids.
Not in Chicago and not in Denver and not in a lot of big blue cities. He isn't. Greg in Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. You know, Eric Adams talks about getting rid of the criminals. What about the other 100,000 or so people that are here illegally in the state of New York, city of New York, that the taxpayers got to pay for? You know, an extra 10 grand a piece is an extra $1 billion in taxes for all the handouts these people are given. Not mentioning the fact that these people are all looking for jobs, and the majority of them are going to get it at the bottom end of the ladder, the minimum wage. So there's more competition for that. No reason for wages to go up. People who are citizens losing jobs because he can hire an illegal and pay them less money, and the increase in demand for housing. So, you know, so the real estate values are just going to keep going up. You get a half dozen guys or so making $20 an hour. Hey, they can afford to buy a middle class house, do a little flipping, fix it up, you know, the American way. So the taxpayers just keep paying and paying and paying in every aspect of this, and the benefits go to the Democrats and the illegals. You guys have a good one.
Greg, yeah, I understand, but no one is confusing Eric Adams for Tom Homan or Donald Trump. Eric Adams is Eric Adams. But he's moving. And it's not going to be a 180 overnight. It's movement, and it's an opportunity, and Homan should capitalize it and try to help Eric Adams continue to move in that direction. In the same way that Tom Homan has his rank order priority, people in this country illegally who've committed crimes. Let's find the missing children, right? And then let go. I mean, he's said, in principle, if you're here illegally, you don't. There's no free passes, but we have to do things in a sensible way, based on the threat posed by particular cohorts of people here illegally, people on the terrorist watch list, for example, obviously, and that's the same thing that is in play with Eric Adams. Let's pick the point on which we agree, and let's build on that. And let's use that to encourage others to follow suit and to shame those who don't. How about that play? And meanwhile, maybe some of the natives in those big blue cities that don't want to follow suit will continue to get restless. The Chicago City Council meeting yesterday, the Flip Chicago Red crew was out in force again. I mean, it's sort of fun. I don't know if there's a particular point to this. It feels very much like Alex Primetime Stein, except these are not parodists doing this.
And they're not in costume.
Well, they sort of in costume. They have their Flip Red T-shirts on and so forth. But it just seems like the excoriating Brandon Johnson, the city council, is enjoyable. But I don't know that it's impactful. So let's at least enjoy it.
Trump, Tom Homan, make an example at this Negro right here first. Please come here first, because you know what? We're going to help you. We want a forensic
Ma'am, I would ask that you
keep your...
Hold on a second. Stop her time. Stop her time.
You told Trump you ain't going to blink? Well, we ain't either. You ain't above the law. And where you going to run to when Trump pours that Trump card out on you?
There's a 10-year prison sentence when you want to stand up here for those illegals.
You all sit up there and said you will not allow Trump to come in here and get these illegals. Yeah, you can smile. We're in a $1 billion deficit. And you spent half of our money, half of that, on illegals. You campaign and double down that you would not raise property taxes. I ain't gonna do that. You campaign went around doing that. And here we are right now. You wanted to raise our taxes $300 million. They shut it down. Now we back here for $150 million. Okay. See, this is what we asking now. Since you want to crash out, some of y'all say y'all willing to go to jail for it. Trump, Tom Homan, make an example at this Negro right here first. Please come here first. Because you know what? We're going to help you.
Okay. Entertaining, impactful, not so
Maybe
sure.
a little bit of both. I don't know.
But, somebody can please tell me if I'm missing something substantial here. But I appreciate the invective and the place from where it's coming, and I appreciate people that are stepping up, but I don't think they represent a groundswell that is in the offing. Larry in Elmhurst.
Hey, good morning. This was maybe about a year or so ago. You guys, I think he was a Chicago fireman that was letting illegals live in his apartment buildings. You think he's wondering now if maybe he'll be locked up for aiding and abetting fugitives, criminals?
No. No. And
Nor will the mom who's got 4 kids that's working 2 jobs, and I don't think she's going to be rounded up and taken away from her children.
Well, I beg to differ.
Okay.
Nobody's being taken away from their children, but as Tom Homan said in 60 Minutes, what do you do with family who is here, family and who's here illegally? Well, you can deport them all.
Mm-hmm. But I think they're going to focus on the 642,000 criminals first.
Well, of course, but nobody here illegally gets a free pass. And by the way, that was the position of Hillary Clinton 5 minutes ago. And now this is in controversy. It says everything about the non-reality party, the new Bolsheviks that dominate that party, completely detached from reality. George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan, it's kind of fun to hear those everyday people weaponizing Trump against the mayor.
Yeah. David Winnetka.
Hey, guys. Good morning. Yeah, good morning, Amy. What about all the filthy scumbag criminals that were born in this country, bred in this country, raised in this country? What about them?
What about them? I don't know. We should have law enforcement at the local level that deals with them, too. I mean, how often on the show do you talk about preventable crime, whether it's indigenous or imported? Yes, but predators, whether they're American citizens or they're foreign nationals, need to be dealt with under the law. This is controversial. This is complicated. It's not. As most things, it is simply a political will problem. Do politicians and their constituents, particularly in big cities and big metropolitan areas, do they have the political will to confront reality? Eric Adams is showing some. Illinois, not so much. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
This is about 97. I'm 86. I'm 70 years old.
I've been a very happy customer.
That's some good stuff, I'll tell you.
I think it's wonderful stuff. I like the product, and I'm telling a lot of people about it.
It's the best stuff in the world, Jimmy. It's good stuff.
I'm 81 years old. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I walk every morning and every evening with my dog. Since I have been taking this balance of nature, I just can't say enough about it.
Merry Christmas. This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee as a new preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
All right. Once again, our Food for the Poor campaign is well underway, and we're trying to help provide life-saving food, folks, for children in Latin America and the Caribbean. During this season of economic decline, unemployment, rising food costs, if you've been to the grocery store, you know what I'm talking about. Millions of children and their families are struggling, and they simply don't know where their next meal will come from. And this can lead to sickness, disease, and ultimately starvation. That is why we are partnering with Food for the Poor once again. It's a faith-based, nonprofit relief organization that works directly with their partners on the ground in Latin America to operate feeding centers. I've seen it firsthand. And these relationships ensure that the money we raise during this campaign is used efficiently to get food to the children who need it most.
So there are two ways that you can help and put these in context. One is an individual donation. For example, a gift of $50 can feed a child for an entire year and provide access to clean water for their entire community. For a gift of $200, you can feed 4 children for an entire year. That's the sort of impact that a relatively small amount of money can have in these impoverished countries that Food for the Poor serves. To make a gift of $50 or $200 or any amount, you can call 844-862-4673 or visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. Again, 844-862-4673 or visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor to make that individual donation.
And if you are a business owner or make the marketing decisions for your company, please become a business benefactor. I know you've heard us talk about it for years, but really this is the best deal in all of Chicagoland radio. One-time tax-deductible donation of $2,500. With that, you'll feed 50 children for a year and provide water for their community. And as a way of saying thank you, we're going to give you 40, not 1 or 2, 40 one-minute commercials that will air right here on this station. We've had so many people that have started out as business benefactors, and now their businesses are booming. Tom Sedeka, Precision Payroll, remember that? He started out as a business benefactor, so did Turnkey.pro. So here's what you do. Call Ann Jeanette. She's our sales manager, and she's awesome, and we love her. And her number is 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951. We want to thank people who've already signed up. Immune Enhancement, Chicagoland Midwest Performance Cars, freedomchamber.net, the National Shrine of St. Francis Xavier, Cabrini, Gatto Insurance, Industrial Platers, the list goes on and on. Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling, our good friend Garrett. So be one of the cool kids. Sign up to be a business benefactor. 847-472-8951. That is the number to call, and we thank you in advance for your generosity.
Hey, AM 560 homeowners. Are you tired of all the money and repairs going into your house? Need an easy solution to convert your home into cash? This is Jeff from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. For nearly 20 years, our trusted, proven, and professional team has been simplifying the home selling process in Chicagoland. Here's the deal. You are in control. Pick the closing date that works best for you. No need to worry about repairs or any cleanout. We will buy your house as is, saving you frustration, time, and money. That's right, a fair cash offer within 24 hours, and we actually buy your house. No funny business. With our simple process, there are no fees and no commissions. You can trust our proven, professional, and credible service. Our local, high-integrity, and veteran-owned team will go above and beyond to make it stress-free. Sound interesting? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or JeffBuysYourHouse.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
AM 560, The Answer.
You know that meeting that Trump had with Trudeau where he joked about if Trudeau couldn't handle tariffs, then maybe Canada should just fold into the United States, be the 51st state, and maybe he could be the governor if the people would elect him, which I don't think they would, but not these days. Anyway, Trump recounted that meeting after the fact.
Well, I just got done with a beautiful meeting with the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. He sits when he pees. He doesn't want you to know that, but he does it. Everybody knows it. When you look at it, I said, Justin, we're going to slap you so hard with tariffs. He said, sir, please don't talk dirty to me. You know I love being slapped. I said, not like that, Justin. We're going to hit you so hard with tariffs, and you're not going to know what hit you. You have to close your border. You have to help us with our border. He said, we're not going to do it I said, okay, we're going to cut off your supply of soy. He said, sir, please don't do that. I need my soy. Justin Trudeau is the #1 consumer of soy in the entire world. He consumes more soy than any nation or any man, anybody ever thought possible. He consumes so much soy. I said, Justin, you must take after your mother because Fidel Castro was definitely not a soy boy. He said, sir, please don't cut off my soy. Please don't hit us with tariffs. It's going to hurt our economy. I said, if that's the case, you could become our 51st state. He said, but sir, what are you going to do with all the moose? I said, I've been handling moose for a very long time, and we're going to change the plural of moose to mooses, by the way. I've been handling mooses for a very long time. Chris Christie, you may have heard of him.
Oh.
Stacey Abrams, Rosie O'Donnell, these are some of the biggest mooses the world has ever seen, and we handled them like nothing. I said, Justin, do we have a deal? No tariffs, no soy if you don't close the border. He said, sir, you've got yourself a deal. And we may very well add Canada, too, at the end of the day. They may become our 51st state if they don't play ball. But for now, we have a deal. And Justin Trudeau returned back to Canada, sat down, took a nice leak, and went to bed. It's the art of the deal at work. We are making America great again, believe me.
So that's how the deal happened.
That's awesome.
Sean Farash is great, not just in terms of the cadence and the impersonation, but the scripting. Very, very funny.
All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, the fallout from the Hunter pardon continues, and Charles Payne from Fox Business weighs in with a very personal story on the topic.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
6:33, we have 28 degrees. Border security, the top priority this morning for incoming Senate Republicans. A closed-door meeting has Majority Leader John Thune of South Dakota laying out a two-step process to help pass Donald Trump's agenda with needing zero help from Democrats. Retiring Senator Joe Manchin, meantime, delivered remarks on the Senate floor for the final time on Tuesday.
All the D's and the R's and the I's in here is my team, and I love each and every one of you. Thank you for giving me the honor of a lifetime to serve in, I think, the greatest deliberate body the world has ever known and ever will know, the United States Senate.
Manchin served West Virginia in the Senate since 2010. President-elect Trump reportedly considering replacing his defense secretary nominee. Wall Street Journal saying current nominee Pete Hegseth might be replaced by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Hegseth has been on Capitol Hill and facing scrutiny over multiple misconduct allegations. And this morning, Kash Patel, Donald Trump's had to pick to head the FBI, has reportedly been the target of Iranian hackers.
Sources told CNN that hackers accessed at least some of Patel's communications. Members of Trump's inner circle have been targeted by foreign hackers in recent months, including Todd Blanche, Trump's pick to be Deputy Attorney General. I'm Mark Mayfield.
A top Meta executive says the company is over-moderating across its apps. Nick Clegg, the Meta president of global affairs, said that error rates on their apps are too high. Meantime, the company is seeking nuclear power developers for reactors that can start up as soon as 2031. U.S. data center power use is expected to roughly triple between 2023 and 2030. 3 Chicago elementary school students are recovering after a dangerous scare that saw them consuming marijuana gummy edibles. The incident happened at Kilmer Elementary School in the Rogers Park neighborhood. All 3 students were rushed to a nearby hospital, but they're expected to recover after medical intervention. Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard's quest for re-election taking a big hit. State Senator Napoleon Harris received the Democrat nomination last night for Thornton Township Supervisor in the April 2025 election, blocking the incumbent Henyard from the ballot. But a defiant Henyard said before the meeting she's not done.
They can't beat me. If they could beat me, they would have went to the polls. You will see. My people are here. They're not going to go nowhere. The show will go on.
Henyard is also mayor of Dalton and is under federal investigation into both roles. Mayor Brandon Johnson isn't backing down to his critics during a speech yesterday at the City Club of Chicago. The mayor says he's not intimidated by the moment.
I will never turn my back on young people, no matter what any of you all say about them. I'll be doggone if I allow anybody in this room or anybody in this city make me flinch when it comes to investing in public education.
Johnson is under fire over budget issues and the harassment claims against his former communications director. The Blackhawks look to aim to avoid their fourth loss in a row when they host Boston at the UC tonight. Northwestern lost a heartbreaker in college hoops, 80-79 to Iowa at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Next, the 6-3 Wildcats visit number 17 Illinois. The Bears have their first practice today under interim head coach Thomas Brown. The news, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get ready for a musical journey like no other when the Trans-Siberian Orchestra returns to Chicago on December 23rd on their Lost Christmas Tour 2024. AM 560 is giving away tickets. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/Christmas. Don't miss the Trans-Siberian Orchestra at the Allstate Arena. Go to 560theanswer.com/Christmas.
If you have high blood pressure, you have the #1 risk factor for mortality.
Don't be a walking time bomb. Make this change and watch your blood pressure drop.
Order a 120 Life today.
Yes, 120 Life is an amazing blend of superfruit juices that can actually help lower your blood pressure.
It's been endorsed by thousands of health professionals and doesn't have the side effects of medication.
It's up to you to control your blood pressure, not Big Pharma.
Seriously, 120 Life could be the natural game changer in your life. Try it yourself risk-free with a 2-week trial pack. You've got nothing to lose but your high blood pressure.
Go to 120life.com and use promo code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping.
120 Life is so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in just 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied.
Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. From pomegranates to cranberries, it's the delicious way to lower your blood pressure. It really works.
Go to 120life.com now. Use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping.
I love giving jewelry as a gift. Roland's Jewelers is the perfect place for that magical holiday gift. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. Roland's Jewelers is the absolute perfect place for the magical holiday gift for someone you love. Buying jewelry is about trust. Roland's is the jeweler I trust. I'm a customer, and I'm always amazed by their 5-star Google reviews, so many of them, but why not? They're the best. They're family-owned. Hey, getting engaged? Roland's has a large selection of mined and lab-grown diamonds at great prices. Choose from beautifully crafted engagement rings from designer Simon G. or Italian designer Roberto Coin, offering stunning diamond pendants and earrings. How about a Tag Heuer watch with cutting-edge technology? I love mine from Roland's. I continue to be impressed at how expertly trained their staff is. Visit Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville or RolandsJewelers.com. That's Roland's, ROLLANDS, Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust. Just like I do.
Power up the holiday and give a gift from the top of their wish list. Visit your local Steel dealer or shop online at steelusa.com.
640. Check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of Lowe's. Order what you need by 2 p.m. Save time and money. Get it delivered same day. Valid on eligible in-stock orders in select zip codes. For same-day delivery, see Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for any detail. Kennedy inbound is already 1 hour O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike inbound 1 hour from 390 into the old post office. There's an accident on the inbound on-ramp from 390 this morning. Dan Ryan, 20 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Watch out on the Reagan I-88. You're jammed up eastbound right at Roosevelt Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Clouds, maybe an afternoon snow shower, and a high of 37. It's 28 right now. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The fallout from the big guy's pardon of baby boy Hunter continues. Some men, quotation marks, of the left, not so happy. Dad on the down low, suburban dad on the down low, Senator from Virginia, Tim Kaine.
He didn't need to tell the American public, I will not do this. And he did. And when you made a promise, you got to keep it.
Chucky Todd, that yapping little terrier who used to host Meet the Press. You remember? He's mad.
Yeah, I'm mad.
Look at what you did to us.
I followed the Hunter Biden trial very closely.
Mm-hmm.
I read every transcript, all the testimony, because that's what all that was made public. And there is, you want to get angry, just as somebody in just all these mixed emotions. You read the Hallie Biden transcript, and that's Bo's widow.
Yes.
And essentially he turned her into a crack addict. And this was all happening in 2017, 2018. And Joe and Jill Biden were so concerned about their family that they decided to run for president.
Yep.
So when you talk about the word selfish, it's almost like the word doesn't, their decision to run for president put the entire Democratic Party and the United States of America in the position that it's in now.
Well, that's a very different tune that Chuck is singing now than he did when he was manning the desk at Meet the Press, isn't it? Because in point of fact, Chuck Todd was a water carrier for the Bidens, just as the rest of the D.C. press corps was. So his moral indignation now is, I find, a little wanting. The Hunter Biden turns out to be a bad guy. Oh, he's not this decent, honorable, smartest guy I know. Hail fellow, well met, that Joe tells us. Did you platform any of that information?
No.
Offer any of that commentary when you were manning that Meet the Press desk?
No, but
serving as the political director of NBC News? No,
but if one of Trump's kids did a fourth of what Hunter Biden did, it would be blown up like we've never seen before in our lives.
Yeah, they're a little sore that they're on the outside now, that they have to share in the embarrassment and the disgrace that is Joe Biden. And Jon Stewart, of all people, did a pretty good job lampooning it and really getting to the heart of why Chuck Todd is sore at Team Biden.
But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? Hypocrisy isn't illegal, nor is it particularly unusual in politics. It's not like he's ever going to run again, so why not take care of your kid? Even if you said you weren't gonna. I respect it. I don't have a problem with it. The problem is the rest of the Democrats made Biden's pledge to not pardon Hunter the foundation of their defense of America, this grand experiment.
One political party remains committed to the rule of law, and the other doesn't. It's that simple.
Hunter Biden's not above the law. No one is above the law. Democrats stand for the rule of law.
We accept the outcome because that's how the rule of law works.
Because the justice system that convicted his only surviving son is the same justice system he's vowed to protect. And if that doesn't tell you who Joe Biden is, I don't really know what does.
I think I know what does.
The perfect retort to Jen Psaki closing out that supercut. Yeah, but he's getting right to it. That this was we talked about this over the last couple of days. This was the distinction. This is how they drew the contrast, donning the cloak of the guardians of democracy. We abide. We believe in the justice system. We abide. We don't question. And that's the difference. Meanwhile, you have Trump over there talking about rigged and things are rigged and this is a hoax and things are unfair and so on, the invented charges and so on and so forth. That's not us. That's somebody undermining democracy. We're over here protecting our democracy and lady justice and so forth. Well, that's all by the boards now.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that same line.
And Stewart continued, this is the best, because there is no one that deserves more antipathy. I mean, Adam Schiff is close, but I would still put Jamie Raskin at the top of the list. There is no more unctuous professional liar in Congress than Jamie Raskin. Jamie Raskin, when he was one of those great guardians of democracy after Joe's big announcement that he would not pardon Hunter 6 months ago, versus Jamie Raskin on the cusp of the pardon.
Look how confident and eloquent our Democratic representatives were back when they thought they had the moral high ground on this issue.
I've not heard a single Democrat anywhere in the country cry fraud, cry fixed, cry rigged, cry kangaroo court. You don't hear a single peep out of any Democrat saying that why we believe in the rule of law.
And now look at what even he, one of the most verbally dexterous attorneys we have on Capitol Hill, has been reduced to.
Do you think President Biden should pardon Hunter Biden?
So there are lots of claims of political prosecution and political
And was Hunter politically
prosecuted? I mean, obviously that's a judicial point, and you've got to look at what the evidence is, and I don't know enough.
So should the president pardon him?
I mean, again, that is a unilateral executive power, power that...
and should he use it?
Well, the power exists for the president to show mercy for people.
I mean, we have an executive, and we have a judicial, and then a legislative, and then smoke bomb.
Oh, it is so perfect that they are humiliated. I mean, I don't think they have the capacity to feel shame. Jamie Raskin doesn't, but they're humiliated in the public's mind. You're a punchline on The Daily Show, Jamie Raskin. There's another aspect of this, too, that Charles Payne, our friend from Fox Business, discussed, and that's using the story of addiction and overcoming addiction, or not being responsible for what you did because you were a crack addict.
He couldn't pay his taxes because of his addiction.
And the problem with that line of thinking from a legal perspective, I'll let Charles Payne make the moral case because he's got a good one. But the problem from a legal perspective is there were no representations in court by his attorneys that Hunter Biden had a mental defect that prevented him from standing trial. There were no defenses offered that he suffered from a mental defect and thus he is not responsible for illegally possessing a gun, filing a false application. He is not responsible for not paying his taxes because of a mental defect. There was no claims of that. So how is it that addiction absolves him of his crimes? It doesn't. And that's the point that Charles Payne brings home powerfully by talking about his own brother.
To hear Democrats try to justify what Biden is doing with his son because his son has a drug habit is heartbreaking. I'm going to tell you something right now, and I probably shouldn't say this. My brother's getting out of jail on Friday. My brother was among the first 100 crack addicts in America. I'm telling you, at least the first 100, 200. In the hood, when he came upstairs and told us about crack, how great it was, I had never heard of it before. I kind of don't want him to come out of jail because before he went in, he'd stopped by my aunt's house, and he didn't, he lives away from here, and he didn't have shoes on in the middle of winter. I keep his commissary. I give him $100 a week in commissary. He's like a kingpin in there because no one gets a nickel. I mean, that's how bad it is in there. And I know he's safe. I know he's captured. But what's happening with the Biden, and this is the ultimate sign of elitism, of just sort of entitlement gone amok. that Democrats have railed against for so long. We're a black Democrat saying this is such a huge double standard. Yeah. That if this was Donald Trump and anyone in his family, there would be people in the street screaming. Mm-hmm. Now, if you want to use this as a way of saying, hey, we need to find ways of reforming and helping everyone out, not just Hunter Biden, but this has hurt our community so badly, and no one's immune from it.
Your brother's not going to get a pardon.
And like, listen, I wish I could be there waiting for him when he gets out on Friday. I can't. Mm-hmm. I wish I could be there to hold his hand every day. I can't. We've talked about this. He's probably going to go back to smoking crack, even though he hasn't had it for a year.
It's a scourge.
It's a scourge. He can't shake it, but he was the smartest one in my family growing up. He's a great person in his heart, and he could have been a great American.
Yeah. And you still love him. And
of course I love him.
You want to help him.
Right.
You can't.
But it's a slap in the face to everyone that that Joe Biden gets to do this.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a slap in the face for anyone whose family members have either gone to jail for, doing stupid stuff. I mean, really, like stealing apples or something like that. Or when this first started, whose grandmother was killed for a welfare check to buy this. It's a slap in the face to everyone. And I'm glad Charlemagne is pointing it out. Everyone needs to point it out. If you really give a damn, listen, I don't know what the stakes are because they're probably greater than just the tax evasion stuff. Mm-hmm. And maybe a next administration would uncover some things that we all kind of feel may have gone on there. Mm-hmm. Maybe Biden's trying to protect him from that. But stop telling me about this fatherly love for someone who's addicted to drugs, because we all have family love for drug addicts in our families, and none of them are getting this kind of treatment.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. In terms of disparate treatment, since this whole miscarriage of justice rap that they trotted out to explain the pardon. Op-ed from our friends, the IRS whistleblowers, Joseph Ziegler and Gary Shapley. The White House's story on Hunter Biden keeps changing. Mm-hmm. The president supposedly had no knowledge of his son's business, then no involvement in it, then no financial benefit from it. The goalpost moved as more facts came to light. Before the election, Joe Biden promised he would respect the legal process and issue no pardon or commutation. This week, he went further than preemptively commuting a sentence to keep his son from prison. He issued a broad pardon for any and all crimes over a nearly 11-year period. He gave his son the sweeping immunity to which career prosecutors refused to agree as part of an aborted plea deal. These dizzying narrative shifts happened because the two of us blew the whistle and exposed the preferential treatment the Biden Justice Department gave to a powerful political family. Our story never changed because we told the truth. And I would add, their story keeps changing because they've never told the truth. Bruce in Waukesha.
Thanks for taking my call. I have to admit that I was one of a naive persons thinking that a pardon was only, for the crimes that you were convicted for and not open-ended for anything that happens over a period of time. As we learned through the Trump trials, he was not going to be a convicted felon until after sentence was passed. And my question, I guess, for you guys is, how can you pardon somebody for someone who has not even been sentenced yet? That's what the part that bothers me right now the most.
Well, right. You mean, how can you do it morally, or how can you do it in terms of, does the president have that power?
Correct. And then if you look backwards in time, with everything that went on with Trump, and where does he fit in all this? Because where do the pardons end in all of this? Because you can't stop this process.
No, I mean, the Constitution confers plenary pardon power to the executive. It's pretty clear. Are there any potential limiting principles? Well, if a president pardoned himself, that may be something the Supreme Court will want to take up. But this pardon, with the expanse of it, that 11-year period, certainly you can pardon somebody who's been charged with crimes before they've been convicted. I don't think there's much question about that. But the this 11-year span, I don't know. Maybe that was something the court will want to take up, but it's going to be hard to draw lines there in terms of limiting the power for over a certain period of time. What period of time would that be? How would you set a period of time standard? Because that's what the courts would be interested to do. I'm not sure you can. The president pardoning himself is a different story, potentially. But no, I mean, the pardon power is awesome. And so when you see someone abuse it, it rankles people because of exactly what Charles Payne is saying, because of exactly what these two IRS whistleblowers are saying, because if you're not a family member of the Bidens or you weren't a politically valuable friend of a president, because it's happened on both sides, then you're not going to get the treatment that they're getting. And that does not inspire confidence in the justice system, does it? By the way, just on the crack thing, because Joe Biden's miscarriage of justice, he got singled out because his name was Hunter Biden and so on and so forth.
He got a pass because his name was Hunter.
Yeah, and by the way, since he admitted to smoking crack, and I think well within the statute of limitations, a Senator Joe Biden would have wanted to send Hunter Biden away for 5 years. Senator Joe Biden had this position on smoking crack. Senator Biden did.
If you have a piece of crack cocaine no bigger than this quarter that I'm holding in my hand, 1/4 of $1, we passed a law through the leadership of Senator Thurmond and myself and others, a law that says if you're caught with that, you go to jail for 5 years. You get no probation. You get nothing other than 5 years in jail. Judge doesn't have a choice.
Minimum mandatory 5 years for smoking crack.
Yeah.
Think he'd apply that to baby boy Hunter? He was real proud of it. You could hear it in his voice when he was speaking in the well of the Senate. How about now? Matt, South Bend.
Thank you for taking the call. Just comment. It's Biden's legacy of lying. It's totally just un-American. As far as that, if you look at George Washington, who said, "I can't do anymore," this guy's just covering his ass. Sorry for my phrasing.
Thanks for the call, Matt. No, that's fine phrasing. But he's worse than a pathological liar. Biden is. He's somebody who leveraged his office and exposed our country to harm in order to enrich himself and his Wilmington, Delaware hillbilly crime family.
And he didn't care that his son was suffering from addiction. I mean, his daughter-in-law became addicted to crack because of Hunter Biden. She almost lost her custody of her children. She could have lost her life, and he doesn't care because he just cares about the money. He's a sick, perverted person, and this whole I'm the Scranton Joe, screw you. And also too, still has not recognized his 7th grandchild. He came out, remember, made a big public statement, "Oh, Jill and I are now going to acknowledge our 7th grandchild." Well, you haven't. You haven't had her at the White House. You've ignored her still. They're just a bunch of liars, and I hate them all.
Hunter Biden is an honorable man.
Yeah. Smartest guy I know.
Joe Biden is an honorable man. Coming up at 7:07, Mike Gonzalez from the Heritage Foundation on how Trump can rid Washington of wokeness. 7:07.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
2 of 3 killed in a mass shooting on the Southwest Side have been identified. Tiffany Henyard denied a place on the ballot to be reelected as Thornton Township supervisor. A man found guilty of murdering an NU grad student has been sentenced to 60 years in prison, and Mayor Brandon Johnson fires back at critics. Blackhawks host the Bruins, and in college hoops, Northwestern falls at the buzzer while Notre Dame gets crushed by Georgia. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
Matt Gaetz has company. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Another Trump nominee joins the Attorney General dropout, withdrawing from consideration. The president-elect's picked to head the DEA. And another could be next. Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth.
Trump is considering replacing him with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. So here's part of what the Wall Street Journal is reporting. Quote, Trump allies increasingly think Hegseth may not survive further scrutiny, according to people close to the president-elect's team, which considers the next 48 hours to be crucial to his fate.
Fox's Bill Malugin near the Trump estate in West Palm Beach, Florida. As for Chad Chronister, who backed out as the next leader of the the Drug Enforcement Administration. The sheriff in Florida faced Republican opposition over his arrest of a pastor during the pandemic for violating COVID rules. We finally have the last House election result. Democrats win a California race they've been too close to call. Adam Gray will unseat Congressman John Duarte. He won by just 187 votes. Republicans will still have a House majority, likely with Mike Johnson still speaker. However, it's going to be a slim one with Matt Gaetz not returning, and Republicans Elise Stefanik and Michael Waltz in line to leave to join the Trump administration.
But not before they vote for Speaker on January 3rd. Still, just a couple of defectors could create headaches for Johnson retaining the Speaker's gavel. The departures of Stefanik and Waltz means the House could be 217 to 215 for months. Tight numbers could make it hard to govern.
That's Fox's Chad Burgum at the Capitol. The Supreme Court will take up a big transgender case this morning, a challenge to Tennessee's law banning treatments for children.
It will be the first time the nation's highest court will consider restrictions on puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and surgery for minors. The case could have an impact on the laws in the 24 other states with bans in effect. Critics argue the bans have forced minors seeking gender-affirming care to travel long distances.
That's Fox's Ryan Schmelz. America's listening to Fox News.
27 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 2 of the 3 killed in a mass shooting at a house party on Chicago's southwest side have been identified. 8 who were shot, 3 died. 2 of those now identified as John Carlos Blancarcer and Hector Sajo. No one is in custody. Police say the shots were fired Monday at a home in the 3500 block of West 59th Street. Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard's quest for re-election takes a big hit. State Senator Napoleon Harris received the Democrat nomination last night for Thornton Township Supervisor, blocking the incumbent Henyard from the 2025 ballot.
Guys, have a good night, eat the food, and be merry. This meeting is adjourned.
A defiant Henyard said before the meeting, she's not done.
They can't beat me. If they could beat me, they would have went to the polls. You will see. My people out here. They're not going to go nowhere. The show will go on.
It was the first time in 3 decades township Democrats used a caucus to determine who will be on the ballot. A man convicted of killing an incoming Northwestern graduate student in 2018 on the north side is going to prison. Deontay Speed was sentenced yesterday to 60 years behind bars after being found guilty in October in the shooting death of Shane Colombo. Mayor Brandon Johnson says he's not backing down to his critics. During a speech yesterday at the City Club, the mayor said he's not intimidated by the moment, adding he plans on doing the exact opposite of previous administrations.
I will never turn my back on young people, no matter what any of you all say about them. I'll be doggone if I'll allow anybody in this room or anybody in this city make me flinch when it comes to investing in public education.
Johnson has been under fire over budget issues and harassment claims against his former communications director. The Blackhawks take on Boston tonight at the UC. College hoops, Northwestern lost a heartbreaker to Iowa, 80-79 at Carver Hawkeye Arena last night. And Illinois football assistant coach Dana Dimmel is dead at the age of 62. He was a senior offensive assistant with the Fighting Illini. Dimmel had previously served as head coach at Wyoming, Houston, and Texas El Paso. The news, a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder sees a big battle for Trump.
One of the many things Donald Trump says is that we're going to take a fresh look at the 14th Amendment that some people say means an illegal alien born on American soil is an automatic American citizen. This is going to be very interesting next several years. The pushback is going to be absolutely incredible.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They're a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner.
An official message from Medicare.
Couple more minutes and we'll start this month's book club.
You know, I usually love a plot twist, but this year I'm comparing my options during Medicare open enrollment.
You can't assume your current health or drug plan is the best one for you.
And you gotta make sure your drugs are covered. That's important.
So is saving money.
Review all your options at Medicare.gov. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
When they say free, they really mean check the fine print. They say free iPhone, but only if you trade in your $1,000 phone, pay $100 a month for unlimited data, and also a $35 activation fee. Now, Pure Talk, they have a better option. You'll get a brand new iPhone 14 with unlimited talk, text, 15 gigabytes of data, mobile hotspot for just $50 a month. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk.
Balance of Nature supplements. Changing the world, one life at a time.
I heard about it for 3 months, and I kept wanting to do it, and I just didn't. And I finally said, I'm going to do it. I just feel overall better, but I've continued to take it.
Oh, I really like them. I feel good while I'm on them, and they're easy to take, and they seem to be working well.
I love it. I love the product. And not only the product, the people that work for them, too, are really nice. That's another plus. It's the best product on the market.
I think it's a good product, so that's the reason I'll continue to take it.
It's a wonderful product. I'm trying to get as many people as I can to take it.
Merry Christmas. This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee as a new preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over if you have medical PPO insurance. Find out how you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Check if you qualify. almostfreeteeth.com. It's an hour 5 on the inbound Kennedy from O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange. Commuters, watch out. Accident on the inbound on-ramp from the 390 toll road gumming up the works on the west end this morning, 50 minutes into the old post office. I-57 report of an accident. Left lane block. Northbound 57 right at US 30. And delays on the Reagan I-88 between York and the Tri-State. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
A wind advisory this afternoon. Clouds, a snow shower late today, the high at 37. Snow shower this evening, otherwise clear, windy, and frigid. Low tonight 13. Partly sunny, windy day tomorrow. Very cold day, the high at 28. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
27 at O'Hare, a wind chill of right now of 15 above. And your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Perhaps nothing illustrates the moral bankruptcy of quote-unquote wokeness, identitarianism, than the disparate responses, since I know they love that word disparate so much.
Yeah.
Disparate responses to natural disasters, depending on who the victims are. Fascinating side by side yesterday. News Nation, and good for them, checking in on hurricane victims in North Carolina. Remember them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, recovery takes a lot longer than most of the television cameras are willing to spend documenting what's happening.
Living in tents and small RVs with no power as winter approaches and temperatures now dip into the 30s.
There's times we don't get fresh meat because there's no way to keep it cold. Because you got to choose between heating the house with a generator, especially the ones who have kids, and keeping the food cold.
Wintertime's coming. These folks cannot be forgot about. Just because you don't see this on TV, it don't just go away. This is not going to go away for a long time. We got to get those folks out of those tents and in those FEMA campers. How's it going to happen?
Yeah, you really should see the images, too, of people living in tents. It's not good. And North Carolina is not Chicago, but it's not warm either, as the report so documented.
Especially up in the mountains, too.
So that's North Carolina, still recovering. A long way to go from Milton. So where was the big guy?
Oh, my God. In Africa, giving money away?
Angola, with a big announcement.
You know, that's the right thing for the wealthiest nation in the world to do. And today, I'm announcing over $1 billion in new humanitarian support for Africans displaced from homes by historic droughts and food insecurity. We know African leaders and citizens are seeking more than just aid. You seek investment. So the United States is expanding our relationship all across Africa, from assistance to aid, investment to trade, moving from patrons to partners to help bridge the infrastructure gap.
That's the same old bull jive you've been hearing from internationalists, maybe you call them globalists, for 50 years. By the way, that government-to-government aid and these kleptocracies that are replete throughout Africa never gets to the people.
No. And that's not putting America first, by the way.
Read George Ayete, the economist, the great economist, on his book Africa Betrayed, about the aid that politicians like Joe Biden talk about. And I'm all for helping people where we can around the world. I mean, for goodness sakes, right now we're doing a Food for the Poor campaign this holiday season to help people in Central and South America. Great. But at the expense of discardable rural honkies in North Carolina? No, I don't think so. But that's exactly the attitude. There is no time for the hoi polloi and, as you said, the mountains of North Carolina. But the cameras are at the ready for the latest distribution of other people's money to make everybody feel good about themselves, like they're changing the paradigm on the dark continent, and they're not. They're just like the Bidens do here. They're enriching kleptocrats.
Right.
The Bidens enrich kleptocrats, meaning themselves here, and then they go to Africa and enrich some other kleptocrats. For more on all of this, pleased to be joined by Mike Gonzalez, Senior Fellow at the Heritage Foundation, co-author of Next Gen Marxism. He has written about wokeness, and he's got some ideas about the Trump administration about how to rid Washington of said. Mike, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I must tell you a couple of things from what you just said, Dan and Amy. And first of all, hello to everybody in Chicago listening. I love your city. I just need the Bears to win because I'm a Giants fan.
Oh boy, that's rough. That's rough times for you too. Yeah.
but you know, first of all, a data point. The president of Angola is not a very good man. It's I met with the opposition leader in Rome a few months ago, And this is not a good government that Biden bestowed his kindness on. Number two is that what you started the show with, this idea that we should have different reactions to the victims of tragedies depending on their race. That is something that Kamala Harris already expressed.
Mm-hmm.
There was a hurricane in Florida about 2 years ago. She said that I think she did say communities of color, a phrase that I find very almost borderline offensive. She said they should get priority in getting help, which occasioned a lot of criticism at the time, including from the governor of Florida. But
and which, sorry to interrupt, and which was apparently adopted by FEMA during these latest hurricanes last month, as we know from that worker who told people to skip over houses with Trump signs.
Yeah, and that was just the tip of the iceberg. As badly as she acted, I think she was scapegoated because I think it was more systemic than that.
Yes.
But the thing is that this is, again, just a symptom of a larger disease, and the disease is that the Biden and Harris administration really jammed a racial and sexual agenda into every policy nook and cranny during the last 4 years. And it began at the very beginning. The very first thing Biden did after getting to the White House on Inauguration Day was to sign an executive order which laid out his all-of-government approach to including race into everything. It's about 18 months later they began to realize they were going to lose in the courts every step of the way because it's illegal, let alone immoral, to make race the deciding factor and rather than needs-based. So they started changing the terminology, and they used words like marginalized, underserved, things like that, to hide the fact that actually what they were doing was racial preferences. But what we've finished right now in these last 4 years has been a mass hysteria, which really was occasioned by the BLM riots of 2020, of really trying to change the country because we're supposedly systemically racist and ruled by white supremacy. And so I think what I wanted to do was I think it's clear to everybody, and I'll stop talking now, that the country has moved on from that. The election was in many ways a referendum on all this stuff, and the country doesn't want any of it, neither on race nor on sex. And I think what we need to do now is begin to dismantle the bad stuff that Biden and Obama did. And we have to do that through policy.
Well, is there any way we can get our $1 billion that he just gave to Africa back? I mean, to rebuild areas devastated by catastrophes. What areas? What is he talking about?
Look, he's our president. I don't know that he wrote that. He may have read it. He read it badly, probably. I didn't see it, but yeah, I think it's safe to say that North Carolinians are a lot more deserving of that aid money.
The unwinding of this. Do you have some prescriptions for how to do it? Because, the work that some activists like Robbie Starbuck have done, the facility that's provided through exposure on X, that's all helpful. But we've sort of seen it happening sort of one corporation at a time. For example, thinking about the private sector, actually Southwest Airlines was the latest one because of exposure by the American First Legal Institute of their race and gender hiring preferences, and now they're walking that back. But I would assume, just using the corporate America as an example, it'll be even more difficult to pull it up root and branch in the public sector.
So Dan, the corporate America has begun to run away from this. Corporate America, because they have something they call shareholders.
Yes.
Shareholders want return on their investment and demand it, and if not, they have means to oust the C-suite. And so the C-suite has to react. It can go all woke and everything, but then when there's no results and these things become divisive, or they blow up, as in the case of Bud Light, then they have to abandon it, and that's why we're seeing that. the only part of our lives that did not abandon was the federal government. And then some states, right, like California is not going to abandon it. But
academia.
Right. No, academia is going to be the toughest in many ways, and K through 12 as well, not just academia. But the corporate world has said goodbye. Boeing said goodbye. Walmart is saying goodbye. We have to take a look and see what replaces these efforts. Make sure they're not pulling the wool over our eyes. But I think the incentive mechanism has shifted. The climate of opinion has clearly shifted. But now there has been a change at the top because of the election. And there are things that we can do, and I went over them in my Wall Street Journal piece, and also in the book that I wrote with Catherine Porka, Next Gen Marxism, which you alluded to. And in that Wall Street Journal piece, I named 5 of them. The first one would be to rescind all of Biden's racial and sexual executive orders and re-implement Trump's executive orders. For example, the one he had in September 2020, which made it illegal for federal contractors in the federal workforce to have DEI training, diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings, which are very bad and very it's just a form of re-educating Americans, which we shouldn't be doing. Then we have to take care of academia, as you said, and we have to do. Trump has a pretty good 10-point program to do that. Number 3 in the things that I named was we take control of museums. I'd like to see real conservatives being appointed to the Board of Regents of the Smithsonian Institution. I personally, and maybe this is breaking news because it was not in the Wall Street Journal piece, I'd like to see the secretary of the Smithsonian fired, Lonnie Bunch. I think he's a diehard fan of DEI. I don't think we can get him to do anything else. I think we need to eliminate the Census Bureau's racial and ethnic categories. These are made up. Hispanic is made up. Asian Americans is made up. Asian Americans is an overbroad umbrella that brings in people from Americans with origins in China, Korea, Japan, Indonesia, Pakistan, etc. And lastly, and I think as radio hosts you would like this, we need to eliminate the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. NPR and PBS really do not need. We do not need to be coerced into paying our taxes to pay for NPR. NPR is just way too woke, not bipartisan anymore. It's not objective, and I think that is an easy lift.
Here's sort of a general question, and maybe specific to NPR. But should we defund the arts and government television and things like that? Should we defund it? The grants that are provided to artistic institutions, to universities, or should we keep it and tie different strings to it? Which is more effective, do you think, in rooting out this identitarian madness?
Well, there's two separate things here. One, you said the arts, and the other one is broadcasting. I think I'm in Project 2025. The chapter that I authored was on defunding the CPB, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Right.
I believe now that was a mistake, that was not by any means far enough. I think it needs to be dissolved by an act of Congress. I don't think defunding is enough, because then if you leave it around, then it comes back like Frankenstein does at the end of the movie.
Well, and also on that, Howard Husak, who was on the board there, he's at AEI now. He made the point that you have all these huge leftist philanthropic foundations that will come in and backfill that funding and keep it going. So, just in terms of your point about dissolution.
Yeah, no, I saw Husak's piece. I've already addressed this in the past. That's okay. George Soros has his money. He can do with his money whatever he wants. The Tides Foundation has his money. Right. The Rockefeller Brothers Foundation have their money. I don't have an equal beef with MSNBC and their 50,000 watchers every night. MSNBC is a private corporation. I'm actually, I believe that if a leftist is as free as a conservative to give their money to the causes that they like. Right. I am Dan and Amy, I'm fully aware that by calling on this, I'm going to throw NPR completely into the hands of George Soros, and I don't care. I just think the American taxpayer should be liberated, and I think we need to remove the tagline "public" from NPR.
Well, then, but okay, that's fine, and I understand that, and I'm sympathetic to it. But the larger point too about the government funding of academic institutions, of K-12, the Department of Education, the arts, as I mentioned. What is it categorical? Is that do you believe the best approach to just pull the money and let them sink or swim on their own, and if they can swim in whatever direction they want? Or is it to, as I said, exercise some control by providing the strings on the money to say, okay, well, in order to continue to receive these grant funds, you're going to have to walk away from your discriminatory policies?
No, I don't think that. What I believe and what Heritage has said from the beginning and what conservatives have said from the beginning is that the Department of Education should be eliminated. It was started not by Hamilton or Madison. It was started by Jimmy Carter very recently. I was already an adult, shows you how old I am. Eliminate the Department of Education, give the money to the state. The natural sovereign of education is the families, the school districts. There's about 10,000 of them, and maybe at most the 50 states. So give that money to the states, give that money to the school districts, have them decide what to do with it. But you have to do, in K through 12, very, very briefly, you have to do more root and branch reform. Teachers are good people. Teachers are not the enemy, but they have been taught really bad stuff. The most popular textbook in schools of education is Paulo Freire's Pedagogy of the Oppressed, which is a critical race theory textbook. It's not about education at all. It's not about a pedagogy. It's about revolution. It's about how to use the classroom to revolutionize the United States. So you have to change the accreditation system. These are I members of my family are teachers. I meet with a lot of teachers. They're good men and women who want to do right by the kids, and they have been taught this bad stuff in schools of ed, and they have swallowed it. They believe it. They believe that we have systemic racism. They believe that we need systemic overhaul, and they do that. They believe in that because they want to help the children. We have to stop. We have to change the accreditation system. As for the arts, I think it's touch and go, right? I mean, I think private is better when it comes from the private sector. The private sector gave us Mozart, gave us Handel, gave us, and I know, don't send me letters. I know the principalities and the kingdoms were involved in some of the helping Mozart and Brahms and Bach as well. But a lot of it was really private effort, and I think returning to that private model will get us out of a lot of bad art that is being financed by you and me at the moment.
All right, no more funding for Andres Serrano. I'm all for that. Mike Gonzalez.
Oh my God, you read my mind.
Oh boy.
How do you have that ability?
I'm gifted. Yeah, I'm gifted. Touched by God. Mike Gonzalez, Senior Fellow at the Heritage Foundation, co-author of Next Gen Marxism. Mike, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is a full-blown 4-alarm holiday emergency here.
On AM 560.
We're going to have the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby tap danced with Danny Kaye.
The Answer.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They are a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673. 4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/food for the poor, or just click on the Give Life banner.
Hey, fellas, if you feel like you've lost more than a step or two, it could be low testosterone. Don't wait. Get your levels checked by my friends at Low T Center. They have over a decade of experience with testosterone therapy, or TRT. And for established patients, they offer an at-home TRT treatment that includes both lab testing and medication. The TRT plan from Low T Center is a personalized treatment plan, and the at-home TRT plan ships directly to your door. So go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment. Tell them Dan Prof sent you when you do. lowtcenter.com, reinventing men's healthcare.
Better is around the corner in 2025. Feeling better, of course, getting rid of joint pain for once and for all. And QC Kinetics is where it's at. Their patients are able to walk up and down the stairs, sit and get back up. They can finally sleep. Wouldn't it be great to feel normal again? And that could be you. So call QC Kinetics now, today. Say goodbye to shoulder, knee, hip, and back pain. Saturday appointments available, no downtime. Just imagine a new year without achy joints. QC Kinetics uses the healing properties of your own body to attack the root cause of your pain. If you've been told surgery is your best or only option, you deserve a second opinion. Call QC Kinetics. The consultation is free, and you can use HSA and FSA dollars. Live your best life in 2025. Get started now. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. QC Kinetics. Call 312-809-5955.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk Doge and dollars and cents with economist Steve Moore, 737.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
27 degrees. Skies are partly cloudy this morning at 7:32. President-elect Donald Trump's administration continues to take shape this morning. There's word he might be considering replacing his pick for defense secretary, former Fox personality Pete Hegseth. Hegseth met with senators who will vote on whether he should become defense secretary.
He's going to be for the people that actually do the fighting, not for the people that plan the fighting.
That's Alabama Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville this morning. There is a new report from the Wall Street Journal that says Donald Trump is looking at a few others, including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is confirming he will cooperate with ICE under certain circumstances to deport illegal immigrants.
Those who are here committing crimes, robberies, shooting at police officers, raping innocent people, have been a harm to our country. I want to sit down and hear the plan on how we're going to address them.
Adams emphasized at a Tuesday press conference he wants to see illegal migrants who rape and shoot at police officers be deported. A sheriff's deputy in Williamson County, Illinois, praised for rescuing a pregnant woman whose car wouldn't stop as it sped toward a speeding lake. The deputy, the woman, and a dog inside that car were unharmed. 2 of 3 people killed in a mass shooting at a house party on Chicago's southwest side have been identified. 2 of the 3 ID'd as John Carlos Blancarcer and Hector Sajo. No one is in custody. Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard's quest for re-election taking a big hit. State Senator Napoleon Harris receiving the Democrat nomination last night for Thornton Township Supervisor in the April 2025 election, essentially blocking the incumbent Henyard from the ballot. 4 former City of Chicago employees of the mayor's office are alleging retaliation after being placed on the city's do not hire list.
Anyone that would call and ask about me, the first thing to say why, that's the first thing they're going to hear, and then they already made their assumptions about me. It completely ruined a future that I would have, and so it's not fair to me, and for the people behind me, it's not fair for them either.
Ashley Rodriguez worked on the social media team for both Mayor Lori Lightfoot and Mayor Brandon Johnson, said she was fired and added to the list. Johnson saying recently he was unaware of any allegations made against Ronnie Reese, the former mayoral communications director, fired last week following reports of sexual harassment, misogyny, and a hostile work environment. Chicago sports. College hoops last night. Northwestern lost a heartbreaker in Iowa, 80-79. The 6-3 Cats visit number 17. Use the service of turnkey.pro. They'll fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support. Protect your small business today. Visit turnkey.pro today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk explains what we're seeing from the left.
American-made missiles are now being shot into the interior of Russia. The American left would rather see the world burn and blow up the world than give up power. They are handing Donald Trump potentially nuclear war.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world, one life at a time.
I'm Rick. I'm in the best shape of my life. I play a lot of golf. I work out and ride my bike. I'm 63 and I can still almost hit a golf ball 300 yards. I mean, when I'm in the gym, I can do 90-pound dumbbells. That's what I did when I was young. As long as I'm living, I'll keep taking my Balance of Nature because it makes a big difference.
Everything about your product is 100%. I look forward to it. I'll put it that way. I'm 71 years old. Balance of Nature is the absolute best product. I love your product. And you guys, when I call you on the phone, you're the best. So I'm very grateful.
Merry Christmas. This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee as a new preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Wow. Are you buying or are you selling? As this is being written, silver is up more than 50% in just the past 8 months. And gold is the highest it's ever been. Whether you are just getting into the metals, want to roll your IRA into silver or gold, or want to take some profits off the table, Fox Valley Coins is ready, willing, and able to help. Even though Fox Valley Coins is a national dealer, they're family-owned and in your own backyard. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville almost always has the product you want in stock and pretty much always has the best pricing when you buy or sell. Buying or selling is easy. Bring your items in. We'll establish the price and pay you cash or check on the spot. Don't wait until the end of the year to move your assets around. Did you know that Fox Valley Coins has sold over 3,000 one-ounce silver Donald Trump coins? We have several designs, but they're going fast. Fox Valley Coins on Route 59 in Naperville. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust.
He's a 30-year licensed broker
who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. 630-674-1551.
7:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, hot air roasted locally, cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. It's served every morning here at AM 560. Kennedy inbound right now, an hour 20. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike inbound. It's an hour 5, 390 to the old post office. Dan Ryan express lanes all jammed up. 47th all the way to the Stevenson. I-57, an accident, left lane block northbound right at US 30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Clouds, maybe an afternoon snow shower, high 37. Snow continues overnight, otherwise windy and frigid, clearing, a low of 13. Nothing like the snow they're getting just across the lake, about 14.5 inches in Holland, Michigan, on the ground this morning. 27 at O'Hare, 28 at Midway, 26 in Aurora. Your next news update is at 8, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The carnage in the EV industry continues. We had that Lion Electric, the electric bus manufacturer in Shanahan, they're suspending operations.
Yeah, just laid off hundreds of workers right before Christmas time and closed the 900K plant facility.
The big car makers are slashing jobs in Europe amid the EV mandates that are problematic because the consumer demand isn't there.
My friend who works for Kraft he texted me, said they sent my entire division to Mexico and laid off 175 of us stateside yesterday.
Yeah, Rivian, the electric truck manufacturer,
in Bloomington Normal,
loses $107,000 per sale.
What?
How? What, are they going to make that up on volume? $107,000 per truck. It was Wall Street Journal reported it this over the weekend, or the holiday weekend. But yet, they also reported to the Journal that some Republicans on the Hill not so interested to claw back the backdoor Green New Deal that the Biden administration posed. They want John Podesta, I guess, to continue distributing $150, $200 billion in funny money for projects in their states, even if it's all going to be very fleeting, pun intended. For more on where this all stands and where the Trump administration stands vis-a-vis these matters, please be joined for our weekly conversation with Steve Moore, economist and author of The Trump Economic Miracle with Art Laffer. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
So how aggressively?
Newsflash, by the way, Dan. The
yeah.
newsflash that actually Are you saying Republicans like to spend money too, just like Democrats do?
I know.
Oh, I'm shocked.
I know, but so how aggressively will Team Trump go after Republicans who are recalcitrant on things like these industrial policy gambits?
Well, what we're talking about here, just so people understand, is that Joe Biden wasn't completely stupid when they passed their. I don't know. They passed so many bills I can't keep track of them all. The Build Back Better bill and the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, and all these things. And a lot of them were just the Green New Deal, wrapped in pretty wrapping. And so what's happened is that they built these plants, all subsidized by government, by federal taxpayer money, in states like Ohio and states like Iowa and states like Michigan that went red this year. And now a lot of the congressmen there say, no, don't cut these subsidies. This is the problem. I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be easy to cut the budget, even though Republicans have the trifecta. They have the Republican House, the Republican Senate, and the Republican presidency. And I'm not optimistic that they're going to take out the hatchet to start cutting these programs. Now, I'm going to say this, though, about the EVs. I mean, what you said is so correct that, the worst thing that ever happened to the electric vehicle industry was Joe Biden pouring all these subsidies into all of these companies. They became addicted to the government money. The manufacturers, including Ford and GM, started building cars that the government wanted, not that drivers wanted, and they sat on the lots. People wouldn't buy them, and then they doubled down by not just subsidizing the purchase of them, but basically telling people you have to buy them. Right. You have to. We're going to have these mandates that require you to buy these EVs, and there was a revolt. And so I guess what I'm saying is I do think, Dan and Amy, that the best thing that ever happened to the EV industry is getting Biden out of the White House, get rid of all the subsidies, and if these cars are the cars of the future, and they may well be, let the market work. What a concept.
Well, that'll be a test for Elon Musk and Doge, won't it? Because Elon Musk is such a beneficiary. So I hear, the sort of knee-jerk Elon Musk defenders are always, well, he said he would walk away from subsidies. No. You're the Doge guy. Then you need to provide, and you're Tesla. You need to provide leadership on the issue. Where will we get leadership from Elon Musk on the issue?
Well, I have not met Elon Musk. I know Vivek very well. I mean, I've shaken Elon Musk's hand, but I've never really had a conversation with him.
And you're never going to wash that hand again.
But look, I do think that he is talking a lot of common sense. His point about the fact that he, cut Twitter expenses by 80%. Did you know he laid off 80% of the Twitter staff? And he said, I made it more efficient, more profitable. So I think this guy is the perfect job for the job of trying to hunt down this waste. I think when he says $2 trillion, that's a pretty high level, even for someone like myself. But I think hundreds of billions of dollars, and most Americans wouldn't even know these programs were missing. When you have 90% of federal workers who aren't even showing up on the job, you got a problem.
Yes, but okay, but you avoided the fundamental question here, which is
dodged your question.
Yes, you did, and I'll just say this, and you don't have to respond, but I'll just say this. You can't, I mean, it's sort of my fault. You can't drain the swamp if you keep the money. And so if Elon Musk continues to enjoy those subsidies, then we're not really draining the swamp.
Well, no comment.
Okay, fair enough. I got another question for you. Sort of related.
I'm not going to get on the wrong side of Elon Musk.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care about myself.
And I want a job from him.
Yeah, fine. Maybe I'll suspend my Twitter account or something. X account, I should say. The other 11 state attorneys general, led by Texas AG Ken Paxton, filed an antitrust suit against BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, alleging these huge asset managers we've talked about before are using their combined market power to illicitly drive energy prices higher by doing things because they have substantial holdings in American energy companies, by doing things like artificially suppressing the supply of coal. What do you, I know we're free market guys. We're a little bit reticent to lean on antitrust law. But what about this?
Well, I mean, I'm laughing because, look, if you're concerned about, suppressing the market for the supply of coal, gee, I wonder who's done that. Let me think. Who's been in the White House for 4 years?
Well, right.
War on coal, and now you want to talk about hypocrisy. Now the people who destroyed the coal industry are now saying, "Oh, these dirty companies like Blackstone and others are artificially reducing the supply of this." Look, I'm a big fan of coal. I think we have the cleanest coal in the world. I don't think there's any doubt about that. It should be part of the energy mix. And but this one thing I do worry about is we have a lot of Republicans who believe in this 19th century idea of antitrust law.
Yes.
And I'm a free market guy. I mean, let the market work, let competition work. It's the best way to drive down prices. I mean, how about the fact that the federal government right now is telling Google they have to sell Chrome. Now, wait a minute. They spent over $10 billion of their investors' money building Chrome, and I know people have various opinions about Google, but how in the world should the government, after they spent $10 billion investing in this, the government say, "Oh, sorry, you have to sell that"? By the way, the last time I checked, Amy, and the last time I did a Google search, you know how much they charged me?
How much?
Zero.
Zero.
So they give this damn thing away for free, and somehow the government's coming after them for antitrust because they're somehow gouging consumers, even though they give those stuff away for free. Yeah, explain that one to me, Amy.
Well, this is where we show ourselves to be principled people, because I find Larry Page and Sergey Brin completely obnoxious and generally distasteful, but absolutely, I agree with you. And they're getting what they richly deserve by aligning with big government. But
true.
But it is the wrong policy. That shouldn't be happening.
I got to tell you guys, I've had some good meetings with people at Google. I think they're starting to realize, they're the ones who are trying to sue us. People, free marketeers like Dan, you, and me and Amy, we're the ones who are actually defending them. Why do we give money to the Democrats and then they, it's like selling rope to the hangman? So I think that these tech companies are starting to realize, no, it's the Democrats who are the ones who are trying to destroy you, not us. We believe in the free market, the free enterprise system.
Maybe. I'm skeptical.
You're skeptical.
Yeah, well, I'm skeptical of them in particular, but yeah. I don't know. It's Zuckerberg, same thing. I just don't buy them. I think they're amoral and transactional, so I don't believe it. And their instinct is to lean left. I mean, did Bill Gates getting hammered by the DOJ breaking up Microsoft, did that change his politics? No, not really. Did it? No.
Gosh, you're even more cynical than I am, Dan. That's hard to believe.
Well,
he's a realist.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right.
You should know that by now.
But I'm excited about this. I'm sure you are too. The UN, because anytime we talk about the UN has enlisted the International Court of Justice to take up a case that will provide what the countries of the world are required to do to combat climate change. So you've got the UN and the International Court of Justice coming together to tell countries like America what we have to do to curb climate change. How do you think the Trump administration will respond to that? Talk about a softball.
Yeah, what they're saying to America is we have to deindustrialize. We have to get poor really quickly so that we can do our part. Yeah, and so no driving cars, no eating meat, beef anymore. None of that's kind of luxury. And look, they just ended the what was it, COP? I love they call it COP 29 or something like that. They've had almost 30 of these international conferences. Nothing ever happens. They spend millions of dollars. Al Gore pontificates about how much he cares about the planet. And the good thing is that the United States was hardly even represented at this last one. I guarantee you that we will pull the United States out of the anti-America Paris Climate Accord. And one of the things that Trump believes, and I'm totally with him on this, is in American sovereignty. Never, never, never should we have organizations like the UN or the World Court or these other ones telling America what to do. That's unconstitutional. They have no business, they don't have lawmaking authority in the United States. And so Trump is very, very skeptical of the United Nations, the World Bank, the climate accord stuff, because, and by the way, we're the country, all they do at these climate, do you know Mark Morano, by the way, Dan? He runs a website called Climate Depot. It's fantastic.
Yes, we've had him on.
And he was there. He was there for that 2-week-long, climate change conference. And he said, all they do is crap on the United States, and yet the United States, we've reduced our carbon emissions more than any other country, and yet we're the villain.
Stephen Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again, co-authored with Art Laffer. Steve, thanks as always.
Okay, guys, have a great week. Take care.
Thanks. You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
You stink.
I think you're going to have a good Christmas, all right?
You smell like beef and cheese. You don't smell like Santa.
On AM 560, The Answer.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. This time of year is decision time for a lot of people, but it's also when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For many families, joining MediShare means saving about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people, obviously. But what's more, MediShare members like it a lot. Their satisfaction rate is 98%. Imagine that. And MediShare is a proven thing, too, for over 30 years. It's a Christian community of hundreds of thousands of people now. And here's the thing. If you join before December 15th and you mention the promo code SHARE, they'll waive your application fee, so you save even more right off the bat. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just call and you'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline is December 15th, so call now. You'll save even more. Here's the number. 844-47-BIBLE. That's 844-47-BIBLE. 844-47-BIBLE.
As we've been discussing in the past couple of weeks now, we are partnering again this year with Food for the Poor to hold up our end in support of what Food for the Poor does to provide food to impoverished families and kids in Central America. They've been doing this work for 40 years. They've done it in 17 countries around the world. They've fed millions of people, provided more than $15 billion in aid, 5-star rated by Charity Navigator. 90% plus of every dollar raised goes directly to the beneficiaries, as we like to emphasize because it's important. And we're trying to, again, do our part here in Chicago to save lives in Central America through Food for the Poor and their relationships with the locals. There's a couple of ways that you can join us in this effort. One is to make an individual gift. For example, $50 can feed one child for an entire year and provide access to clean water for the entire community. Wow. $200 can feed 4 children for an entire year. That's the impact a relatively small amount of money can have. To make a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673. Or visit 560theanswer.com/food for the poor.
And if you're a business owner, if you make the marketing decisions for your company, listen up. Be one of the cool kids and become a business benefactor. What's that? Well, $2,500. It's tax deductible. The money goes to Food for the Poor. With that, you will feed 50 children for a year and provide clean water for their entire communities. It's a huge, huge relief and such a burden off of them at this time of year. And as a way of saying thank you, we give you 41-minute commercials. K&S Metals, Rhoda Incorporated Signs and Print, they just signed up as business benefactors. MS Consulting Services, Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling. The list goes on, but this will sell out, so please get on it today. Call our sales rep, Ann Jeanette. She's our sales manager, don't you know? She's an amazing person. Her number is 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951. Again, a one-time donation of $2,500, tax deductible. As a way of saying thank you, we give you 40 one-minute commercials that air right here on AM 560, Monday through Friday. Greatest deal in all of Chicagoland radio. Call Ann Jeanette now, 847-472-8951.
The Christmas season is the most wonderful time of the year. But for Chicago's police, fire, and EMS, it can be challenging. Long nights on the beat and daily reminders of lost colleagues and friends can weigh heavily on the mind. R.J. Ullman Company, a commercial HVAC contractor 50 years invested in the building up of the city of Chicago, has partnered with the Well Resource Center, a local nonprofit organization on a mission to build up the health and well-being of our sometimes forgotten first responders and their families. Mental health is mental wealth. The Well offers enriching and meaningful weekly events for men and women. We encourage both the city's first responders and donors to visit the Well Resource Center online at thewellrc.org for more information. That's thewellrc.org, or simply drop by the club, 6160 West Higgins in the 16th District. Merry Christmas from your friends at R.J. Ullman Company and The Well.
Hey, fellas, if you feel like you've lost more than a step or two, it could be low testosterone. Don't wait. Get your levels checked by my friends at Low T Center. They have over a decade of experience with testosterone therapy, or TRT. And for established patients, they offer an at-home TRT treatment that includes both lab testing and medication. The TRT plan from Low T Center is a personalized treatment plan, and the at-home TRT plan ships directly to your door. So go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment. Tell them Dan Prof sent you when you do. lowtcenter.com, reinventing men's healthcare.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, we'll talk lawfare and the future of the Hegseth nomination at DOD with former federal prosecutor Andy McCarthy. That's 8:08.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
2 of 3 killed in a mass shooting on the Southwest Side have been identified. Mayor Johnson fires back at critics. Danny Solis done testifying at the Mike Madigan trial, and Dick Durbin reelected as Senate Democrat whip. Blackhawks host the Bruins. Northwestern falls at the buzzer. WIND Chicago News Time.
Defending her son. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Penelope Hegseth, the mother of Pete, a controversial Trump nominee for defense secretary, was just on Fox delivering this message to the president-elect.
I want to say thank you for your belief in my son.
Part of the scrutiny Pete Hegseth is under is an email his mother wrote in 2018 saying she has no respect for any man who belittles, lies, and cheats and sleeps around. But Penelope Hegseth just said that he's changed.
If we all went back 7 years, we would see that maybe we were not the people we are today. But they were going through, Pete and his wife at the time were going through a very difficult divorce.
Now, Pete Hegseth is back at the Capitol today meeting with senators, but Fox's Jared Halpern reports.
There is increasing concern from the transition that Hegseth can't win confirmation amid allegations of workplace drinking and sexual misconduct.
So the president-elect is considering possible defense secretary replacements.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is being considered as a plan B for defense secretary. The Wall Street Journal also says President-elect Trump is considering Iowa Republican Joni Ernst for the position if Hegseth withdraws his nomination.
Matt Gaetz dropped out as Attorney General nominee weeks ago, and yesterday Chad Chronister, a Florida sheriff, withdrew as the Trump pick to lead the Drug Enforcement Administration. Chronister faced conservative pushback over his arrest during the pandemic of a pastor for holding church services in violation of COVID restrictions. The Supreme Court will take up a big case next hour, a challenge to a Tennessee law.
It prohibits doctors from performing gender reassignment surgery on children under the age of 18. It also prohibits prescribing puberty blockers and hormone therapy for gender reassignment.
Fox's Todd Pyro. The justice's ruling next year could affect similar laws in about 24 other states the critics call transgender discrimination. A Democrat has won the last House race that was too close to call for about a month. Adam Gray unseated Congressman John Duarte in California by 187 votes. Republicans, though, still will have the House majority next Congress. America's listening to Fox News.
27 degrees in Chicago. It's 8:02 AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 2 of 3 killed in a mass shooting at a house party on Chicago's southwest side have been identified. 2 of the 3 ID'd as John Carlos Blancarcer and Hector Saggio. No one is in custody. Shots were fired Monday at a home in the 3500 block of West 59th Street. 3 Chicago elementary school students are recovering after a dangerous scare that saw them consuming marijuana gummy edibles. The incident happened at Kilmer Elementary School in the Rogers Park neighborhood. All 3 students were rushed to a nearby hospital. They're expected to recover after medical intervention. 4 employees of the mayor's office are alleging retaliation, being placed on the city's do not hire list.
Ask about me, the first thing they would say is that I'm on the do not hire, and they're not going to extend on that. They're not going to say why. That's the first thing they're going to hear, and then they already made their assumptions about me. It completely ruined a future that I would have, and so it's not fair to me, and for the people behind me, it's not fair for them either.
Ashley Rodriguez worked on the social media team for both Mayor Lightfoot and Mayor Brandon Johnson and said she was fired and added to the list, made it impossible to find new employment. Mayor Johnson saying he was unaware of allegations against former communications director Ronnie Reese. Staffers claimed they were punished for speaking out against Reese. College hoops Northwestern lost a heartbreaker at Iowa, 80-79 last night. Iowa's Josh Dix hit a game-winning 3 at the buzzer to give the Hawkeyes the win. Also last night, Loyola with a victory. Bradley took out SIU in their Valley opener. Tonight, DePaul visits Texas Tech. The news, a service of Turnkey.pro. Turnkey will fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support. Protect your small business today. Visit Turnkey.pro today. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Neil Cavuto, and this is the Fox Business Report.
We're looking at solid gains on Wall Street ahead of the opening bell with a batch of tech earnings, giving investors reason to believe the stock rally can last. Overseas, the Kospi in Korea rattled by political unrest, where the South Korean president faces possible impeachment after briefly enforcing martial law. And it looks like more Americans are getting on board with Amtrak. The passenger railroad said ridership topped 219 pre-COVID levels for the first time this year and reached a record high even with less capacity. Ticket revenue hit $2.5 billion, a first in Amtrak's history. That was 9% higher year over year. Ridership increased 15% over 2023 to a record 32.8 million customer trips. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher defends a cabinet choice.
The guy who a charge was leveled against in the Justice Department took their full weight and power and investigated him and said, there's nothing there. We exonerate him. Matt Gaetz was put through the ringer, and Trump can relate to what it feels like to have the Justice Department weaponized against you. It's a beautiful Trump move.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world, one life at a time.
I'm Rick. I'm in the best shape of my life. I play a lot of golf. I work out and ride my bike. I'm 63 and I can still almost hit a golf ball 300 yards. I mean, when I'm in the gym, I can do 90-pound dumbbells. That's what I did when I was young. As long as I'm living, I'll keep taking my Balance of Nature because it makes a big difference.
Everything about your product is 100%. I look forward to it. I'll put it that way. I'm 71 years old. Balance of Nature is the absolute best product. I love your product. And you guys, when I call you on the phone, you're the best. So I'm very grateful.
Merry Christmas. This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee as a new preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
$20 million. No, it's not the national debt. It's the buying spree at Fox Valley Coins. And it's on from now until Thanksgiving. It's really the perfect storm. Gold and silver are at historic levels. Fox Valley Coins has a huge order to fill with one of their national clients. And September through Thanksgiving is always when coin dealers stock up for Christmas sales. They are especially looking for the old collector coins like silver dollars, all 1700s through early 1900s coins. All kinds of gold from broken jewelry to gold bars to the old coins, U.S. and foreign. All kinds of silver from sterling silverware to old coins and bars to Franklin Mint items. They can pay cash or check and make house calls on larger deals prior to Thanksgiving. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. They'll make free, no-obligation offers. Make that 20,000,001 reasons to go to Fox Valley Coins now. They give free in-store offers on your items.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
When they say free, they really mean check the fine print. They say free iPhone, but only if you trade in your $1,000 phone, pay $100 a month for unlimited data, and also a $35 activation fee. Now, Pure Talk, they have a better option. You'll get a brand new iPhone 14 with unlimited talk, text, 15 gigabytes of data, mobile hotspot for just $50 a month. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk.
28 degrees at 8:09. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average. To get your smile back, check if you qualify. almostfreeteeth.com. Kennedy right now at an hour and 40 minutes O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Bike inbound, an accident with 3 left lanes blocked inbound between 17th and Laramie. Dan Ryan inbound 34 minutes 95th into the Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
A wind advisory for the afternoon. Clouds, a snow shower late day. Look for a high of 37. Snow shower this evening, otherwise clearing. Windy, frigid night, low 13. Partly sunny, windy, bitter cold day tomorrow, the high at 28. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
It's 27 at O'Hare, 28 at Midway, 26 and partly cloudy in Aurora. Your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Scott Tucker Solutions and his show Retirement Decoded. Sunday mornings at 8. Learn more at scotttuckersolutions.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The Daniel Penny manslaughter case has gone to the jury, so we're awaiting a verdict in that case.
See the prosecutor in that case? Or read about her? I mean, she's as woke can be, so.
Councilwoman Vicky Palladino, New York City Councilwoman Vicky Palladino, tweeted out, I attended closing arguments in the Daniel Penny case today. This was yesterday, of course. To support Daniel and his legal team, what I witnessed was a travesty the likes of which I didn't think possible in the United States. I saw a despicable excuse for a DA stand up in front of court and flagrantly lie for no other reason but to destroy the life of a good man for the quote-unquote crime of protecting a train full of people from a violent, deranged bum. The fact that an angry, disheveled, spiteful woman like that can vindictively wield the law on behalf of our city is an embarrassment to our entire legal system, and it shows how nakedly and unapologetically political the Manhattan DA's office has become. Shame on us for allowing our once great city to descend to this level. I'd call it a clown show, but that would imply there's an element of humor in any of this. There isn't. I only pray that the jury can see through this charade and find Daniel Penny innocent. Either way, the damage has been done, and the message is clear. The Manhattan DA will not think twice about destroying the life of anyone who stands up to criminals in self-defense. We are to be ruled by the lawless. Alvin Bragg has to go, period. And yet, the DA that you're talking about, she's talking about Daphne Yoren. Yeah. There's a lot of circulating about her previous, some of her previous casework.
Well, in 2019, she gave a reduced sentence to a black man who murdered an Asian college professor as he was withdrawing $300 from an ATM. She did under the guise of restorative justice and ended up giving him 10 years for manslaughter.
But this is really about Alvin Bragg. And here's what I think is going to happen. And maybe I'm just predicting what I want to see happen.
All right, what?
I thought the defense made a good close and an obvious one, which is basically to tell the jury, do you want to be on a train with Daniel Penny, or do you want to be on a train with the guy that was threatening everybody that Daniel Penny restrained?
I'm opening the door for Daniel Penny.
Who wants to be? Yeah, who do you want on the train sitting next to you?
Yeah,
and that's a good way to put people in that moment. But here's what I think is going to happen. I think Daniel Penny is going to be acquitted.
Really?
And
he should be, but
then what's going to happen is Alvin Bragg is going to join Kim Foxx in ignominy. This is what happened to Kim Foxx, and I think Alvin Bragg is right on the cusp of this. And, you know, New York is interesting right now. We talked about with Eric Adams moving away from the open borders posture of his party. What happened with Fox, what happened with Fox is the new Marxists stopped defending her. Most didn't publicly break bad. Some continued to sort of damn her with faint praise, like our mayor. But in elite leftist circles, where the financiers reside, it was no longer fashionable to utter Kim Foxx's name, much less defend her performance. So she had to be switched out. It started with the primary challenge in 2020. She survived, but basically the story was written that she was not going to be viable for another term, and so she decided to take the stairs instead of the window. Alvin Bragg, in this case, and with respect to the Trump case, big dreams he had that led him to go big game hunting. And he's going to be another cautionary tale, just like Kim Foxx, of overreach, wherein, in this case with Bragg, the Ivy League educated black man didn't realize he's only a mascot for honky leftist elites in New York. If they can't celebrate themselves over their support of him at Shishi Manhattan soirees, then he is of no use. If he makes an uncomfortable spectacle of himself, like a guy wearing cargo shorts and a tuxedo T-shirt to the Met, then he must be banished from polite society. That's what happened with Kim Foxx. That, I think, is in the offing for Alvin Bragg. We'll see. For more on this and matters at the federal level, too, of course, there are many, Andrew McCarthy joins us, former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney, contributing editor at National Review, author of the bestseller Ball of Collusion, The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Andy, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, guys.
Do you share my prediction about the fate of Daniel Penny and Alvin Bragg?
Well, I certainly hope Penny gets acquitted. I think it's cynical the way, not only that the case got brought, which is a disgrace in and of itself, but, people ought to realize that, and this is an old prosecutor game, but what Bragg has done here is he's charged him with reckless homicide, which is, the manslaughter in the second degree, and criminally negligent homicide. Now, if you look at the case, and again, I want to preface this by saying this is a case that never, ever should have been brought. But even if reasonable minds were to differ on that, it's nothing but a negligence case, pure and simple. The question is, did he keep the chokehold too long, right? It's not a recklessness case. So why did Bragg indict a recklessness count? What he's worried about is if there's some people on the jury who think that something has to be done about Penny because this guy nearly died. If it was just one count up and down negligence, I think Penny's got a very good chance to beat the case. But I think Bragg threw the recklessness case, the recklessness charge in, even though I don't think there's evidence of recklessness here, which is like depraved indifference to a threat of death that you appreciate. There's no evidence of that. I'm annoyed that the judge didn't throw that out at the end of the case. But it gives some of the jurors something to compromise on, where they could end up saying, well, we can feel good about acquitting him on the recklessness, and then we'll go along with the other jurors who want to convict him on the negligence. That's what Bragg is thinking. So I hope that stratagem doesn't work, but I have seen it work before.
Well, we'll see. We're waiting with bated breath for the jury to return. I wanted to get your take, because I know we talked about it, and you had taken a public position in support of Pete Hegseth's nomination, and just sort of where you think that this is at right now. I mean, obviously, Wall Street Journal talking about the Trump team, talking about replacements like perhaps Ron DeSantis, that's not helpful. But if Pete wants to fight this, and Trump backs his play a la Kavanaugh, you think it's worth the fight at this point?
It's really up to this is a very different thing than Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh was a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court, and they thought they had the votes for it. This is a cabinet position for a one-term president who, despite all the grandiose talk about, various disruptions and reform, which, by the way, I agree with at least most of it, not all of it. But you have to be realistic here. Trump is going to have 18 to 24 months of running room to get in and do the things that are most important that got him elected, like border security. If he gets bogged down in fights over cabinet positions, he's eating into the period of time where he's going to be able to do the most good. It's just a fact of life in this system that once you hit the 18-month mark, we're going to be into midterm elections. And by then, you're going to see burgeoning fields, this time on both sides, because you have a one-term president. You're going to have big candidate fields that are already starting the 2028 campaign. And Trump, just because of the way the system works, is going to be more and more a lame duck after that. So he's really, to my mind, he's got to hit the ground running. I've admired the way that they were very organized this time and up and running, and they quickly got these nominations out. And Trump is already acting as if he is president, and I think affecting things in the world, mostly in a positive way. That's all good. But if he, you can get really bogged down in the Senate. And the thing is, in this instance, it's not up to Pete whether he wants to fight it or not. It's up to Trump how much this is worth it to him. And this is his Defense Department, where you need a lot of work, and he needs someone in there. So to my mind, as much as I like Pete, I would have picked someone who was an easier confirmation. I understand why he went with the more disruptive guy. I also think that the underestimated thing is that there is a crisis in recruiting in the military, and Pete could be particularly good on that, I think. But it's got to be up to Trump about whether this is worth it to him or not. It's really not whether it's worth it to Pete to make the fight, because it's not Pete's administration.
Right. What about Governor DeSantis as a backup?
Boy, you could have worse. I was surprised to hear that he might be interested in it, but you could have. I think that's a much more fitting job. I kind of chuckled, Amy, when I heard that they were talking about, was DeSantis going to keep this seat warm with somebody, the Senate seat, so that he could take it himself in 2 years? Because he reminds me of Rudy, my old boss, in the sense that he's not a legislator type, even though he was in the House, and I think he was a very effective member of the House when he was there. He's really an excellent executive, and boy, does the Pentagon need an excellent executive. So I think if he's interested in it, the job is much more fitting for his talents than like going to the Senate would be. I also know, he's a pretty young guy with young kids, and it's disruptive to be in Washington full time, and that's been a consideration for a lot of people I thought were very solid, who just don't want to be in Washington if they've got kids in school back, in the states where they live. So that's a tough personal thing. But I think he'd be great if he took it. But I don't want to be misunderstood. I still think that Pete would be a force for good, and if Trump wants Pete, then the Senate ought to give Pete a fair hearing, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and it would be a test for Senate Republican leadership too. Maybe a stress test that Trump doesn't ultimately want at this point, as you say. But there's some value there to that potentially as well. Kash Patel. I mean, I know that I read your piece about ending lawfare, which I agree with, and I think there's divided opinion on whether Kash Patel is a force for ending lawfare or a force for perpetuating it. But I got to say, even though he is very aggressive rhetorically, I mean, he does always come. I mean, he's also an officer of the court. He does always come back to the accountability. We're going to do what they didn't do. Accountability under federal law, bounded by the Constitution. And so for detractors of Patel, I think, they have to address where he comes down, even if he has particular targets in mind.
Yeah, so I have the thing with Kash is I like him personally, and you guys have been kind enough to mention my book on Russiagate a number of times, so that's obviously something that's very important to me. I think he and Devin Nunes were positively heroic in getting to the bottom of Russiagate, and for that alone, to me, unless you had some information like you had with Gates that he had potentially engaged in conduct that was disqualifying, to me, he's presumptively he should be confirmed. My concern, as somebody who's thought very seriously, I think, if I could be egomaniacal enough to say that, about reform at the Justice Department and reform at the FBI, I read Cash's book over the weekend, and I think his reform ideas at DOJ, especially with respect to FISA, some of them are just like flatly wrong and based on like dumb misinformation about how the system works, which actually, frankly, surprised me because, like, for example, I don't think he understands either how the way FISA is structured and what the fundamental problem is with having a FISA system, having a judicial process oversee something that's not a judicial function. It's a political national security function. That's the main problem with FISA. He has stuff in the book that indicates to me he doesn't know how the judges get appointed. Like he says, the judges are appointed to 1 month terms by the Chief Justice, and that's it's in a statute. They're 7-year terms. That's not how it works. I think what he's talking about is the rotation by which they get
assigned
applications
cases
for surveillance. But he's just wrong on that, and he doesn't. He says that like, for example, FISA is very important. I've used it when I was a Justice Department national security lawyer to go after bad guys, and I'm like, do you think we didn't go after bad guys before there was? It's not the mission that he's talking about is the collection of national security intelligence, and FISA is a problem with that. It's not a solution to it. It's a hamstring that's been put on that process, and the difficulty with it is that it's not a judicial process. You shouldn't have to go to a court to get permission. That doesn't mean there shouldn't be oversight. There should be very robust congressional oversight of what the FBI does in connection with FISA. And Cash gets around to this in the end of his discussion about FISA, where he says, after all the other things I want to do, I think there should be like occasional checking of the FISA applications by a committee at the Justice Department just to make sure they're on the up and up. But in the meantime, what that should indicate is that the FISA court can't check the FBI, which is why you would need a process like that. And instead, what Cash wants to do is turn it into more of a judicial process. So, for example, he says there should be defense lawyers in FISA proceedings. And so we want to give Osama bin Laden a defense lawyer because a bunch of bird brains at the FBI, mainly in the hierarchy of the FBI, abused FISA to go after Trump several years ago. We should now give defense lawyers to people who actually want to do mass murder attacks and other kinds of sabotage to the United States. That's moronic. So I have big problems with that. Now, I've had policy problems with a lot of people, including Merrick Garland and every Democrat who gets nominated for these presidential positions. And my main default is that if it's a policy difference and the guy is otherwise qualified and competent, the president's entitled to his nominees. But I have to say, I've read Cash's reform proposals, and I just think a lot of them are just, blah, but some of them would do a lot of harm.
But I mean, I wish we had time to get into FISA more deeply. But just in terms of the politics of this and the policy making, I mean, whatever he wants to do, particularly in this vein that you're discussing, would be tempered by the Attorney General, the Department of Justice, would be tempered by members of Congress.
Yeah, no, you're right. It would have to be legislated. And obviously the FBI doesn't, you're right about that too. You would think that the Justice Department would be the main source of legal advice to the president on things like FISA reform. But, Cash is going in there as his shtick is he's the reform agent, right?
Yeah.
So his reform ideas ought to be good. And let's say I'm not overwhelmed by them.
Yeah, fair. Andy McCarthy, former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney, contributing editor at National Review, and author of the bestseller we just mentioned, Ball of Collusion, The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Andy, thank you as always.
Have a great day, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They are a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk deep state with Adam Lovinger from the Gould Institute for International Strategy at 8:38.
Now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
28 degrees this morning at 8:32. Border security, the top priority of incoming Senate Republicans. In closed-door meetings Tuesday night, Majority Leader John Thune of South Dakota, the incoming Majority Leader, laid out a two-step process to pass Donald Trump's agenda without needing any help from Democrats. President-elect Trump reportedly considering replacing his defense secretary nominee. Wall Street Journal saying that current nominee Pete Hegseth might be damaged and then replaced by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to head the Pentagon. Kash Patel, Donald Trump's pick to head the FBI, was reportedly the target of Iranian hackers. We get more from reporter Mark Mayfield.
Sources told CNN that hackers accessed at least some of Patel's communications. Members of Trump's inner circle have been targeted by foreign hackers in recent months, including Todd Blanche, Trump's pick to be Deputy Attorney General. I'm Mark Mayfield.
An asteroid headed towards Earth has burned up above northeast Russia. The European Space Agency and Russia confirmed that a small asteroid about 2.5 feet wide was on a collision course with parts of Siberia and predicted any impact would be essentially harmless. Instead of impact, the asteroid burned up in the atmosphere, creating a bright fireball over Russia. Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard's quest for re-election takes a big hit last night. State Senator Napoleon Harris receiving the Democrat nomination last night for Thornton Township Supervisor in April 2025. That would essentially block the incumbent Henyard from the ballot.
Guys, have a good night, eat the food, and be merry. This meeting is adjourned.
A defiant Henyard said before the meeting that she's not finished with electoral politics.
They can't beat me. If they could beat me, they would have went to the polls. You will see. My people out here, they're not going to go nowhere. The show will go on.
Henyard is also mayor of Dalton and is under federal investigation in both roles. Mayor Brandon Johnson not backing down to his critics during a speech yesterday at the City Club The mayor said he's not intimidated by the moment and plans on doing the exact opposite of previous administrations.
I will never turn my back on young people, no matter what any of you all say about them. I'll be doggone if I'll allow anybody in this room or anybody in this city make me flinch when it comes to investing in public education.
Johnson has been under fire over budget issues and harassment claims against his former communications director. Chicago sports, college hoops. Northwestern lost a heartbreaker to Iowa, 80-79 last night. Notre Dame struggled in a loss to Georgia. Loyola a win. Bradley took out SIU in their Valley opener tonight. DePaul visits Texas Tech. The news service of Lowe's MVP Pro Rewards members can get a volume discount on eligible orders as low as $1,500. Discount on eligible product only. Reflected in quote, restrictions apply. See ProDesk for details. And MVP's Pro Rewards program is always subject to terms. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk says the Trump team is ready.
We have a mandate this time. Popular vote, electoral vote. It's completely different. You have a Trump team that is prepared for the saboteurs. In 2016, 2017, D.C. wasn't afraid of Trump. They were kind of confused. How did this guy win? How do we do this? Now there is legitimate fear.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Keene Jr. of the Mail House, Inc., a family-owned and operated digital print mail house with a specialty in political advertising and a customer of Signature Bank. We knew that getting a loan to buy our business wouldn't be easy, so we turned to one of our trusted friends for a referral. She told us about the outstanding level of customer service her business received at Signature Bank since becoming one of their first customers in 2006. Today, we couldn't be happier. Not only did Signature help us finance the purchase of the mail house, but they supported our growth as we modernized our operations in mailing as well as from traditional to digital printing. If you're looking for a great bank to grow your business, take a look at Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is David Hochberg with an emergency mortgage alert. If you're purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. It finally happened. After 30 long and excruciating months, Fed Chair Powell just lowered interest rates 0.5 point, which means credit cards, car and home equity loans will be lower and less expensive. Most importantly, mortgage rates have dropped to their lowest levels since last February. The past 3 years have knocked out over 60% of our competition, who are back in the mall spinning pretzels and folding underpants. Team Hochberg's weathered the storm and is ready to help you, your friends, and family reduce your rate and monthly payments. If your interest rate is 7 or above, call Team Hochberg now. Not when you get home, not tomorrow, now for a complimentary mortgage review. 855-563-2843 or 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm Rick. I'm in the best shape of my life. I play a lot of golf. I work out and ride my bike. I'm 63 and I can still almost hit a golf ball 300 yards. I mean, when I'm in the gym, I can do 90-pound dumbbells. That's what I did when I was young. As long as I'm living, I'll keep taking my Balance of Nature because it makes a big difference.
Everything about your product is 100%. I look forward to it. I'll put it that way. I'm 71 years old. Balance of Nature is the absolute best product. I love your product. And you guys, when I call you on the phone, you're the best. So I'm very grateful.
Merry Christmas. This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee as a new preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
It's 8:39. We'll get to the Team Hochberg Traffic Center in a moment. We want to alert you to a developing story that we're following in Midtown Manhattan, New York City, where Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare's insurance unit, has been fatally shot just outside the Hilton Hotel in Midtown Manhattan. Reuters, New York Post, Bloomberg, all confirming to our newsroom, and they cite police sources who say the company was actually hosting its investor day today. It was the Hilton was closed down due to that medical situation. NYPD is investigating and does confirm that a male was shot along that avenue with confines in the Midtown North precinct. United Healthcare is based. It's an American multinational insurance and services group based in Minnetonka, Minnesota. We'll have more on this developing story with Fox and other sources throughout the morning here on AM 560. Just a couple of notes traffic-wise for you on the inbound Ike, an hour 20 into the old post office, and the Dan Ryan really slowing up inbound in the express and locals, slamming into the Stevenson and the Circle, 32 minutes in from 95th. Traffic is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Clouds with an afternoon snow shower, high 37. 28 and partly cloudy right now. Next news at 9, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Just on that Brian Thompson shooting, and New York Post and other outlets are reporting, just the news is as well, that he was killed, shot and killed at United Healthcare executive outside that Midtown Manhattan hotel. That's going to be very interesting to see if that was somehow he was targeted, something perhaps professionally, or if that was, or if that was just street crime.
Yeah,
if it was just street crime. Oh boy, you think people are resisting populating America's cities at present? Those are the sorts of crimes, tragedies and crimes that really send a chill. Anyway, the effort to impose martial law by President Yoon in South Korea.
Didn't last long.
What a catastrophe that was. There's somebody who couldn't read the room. I mean, to be understated about it. But the reaction, I mean, CNN, I mean, MSNBC, it's the same thing. Of course, the Yoon gambit to impose martial law because he didn't appreciate what the opposition party and the legislative branch was doing in Seoul. Now, of course, they're making the Trump comparisons. This is what we fear. Right. So here's Kyung La, who's a CNN. I don't know
Well,
why.
she was at my wedding. She used to work at CBS here. We used to be really tight. Really
Wonderful. Well,
she's from South Korea.
Yes, and she's a part of the problem. And she and Adem Flack on the CNN roundtable making the Trump comparison. All roads lead back to Trump. Nothing can happen in the world, certainly that's negative, that won't somehow be linked to Trump.
I think just in and of itself, in the context of South Korean history, is important. Obviously, we around the table should talk about why this should be an important thing for Americans to pay attention to. Well, that's what I want to... Particularly given that Donald Trump is about to be president in a number of weeks, somebody who has said he wants to use the military to go after his own enemies.
That's how we
pick up on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think MJ's points are very, she's right on point here. I mean, they really rolled out the red carpet for Yoon. I mean, he had a state visit last year, had a state dinner with Biden. They issued a declaration, Biden and Yoon. I mean, and now the thought, we're seeing soldiers entering the National Assembly. I mean, you talked about, shockingly, the parallels to January 6th, just the image of a democracy facing this kind of crisis. I think this is something that people are scared about, or Democrats are scared about when they think about Trump's return, because he has used, he's encouraged the use of force to achieve political goals, and or try to achieve a political goal on January 6th, and or at least played with it. And he's talked about now pardoning some of these folks on January 6th, the rioters, insurrectionists, what you want to call them. So this is on the top of people's mind. And then I think when they see scenes like this, it's just shocking to see a decades-long democracy, one of the closest U.S. allies in the region, in the world, have this go through this kind of convulsion. I think it's just, it's stunned Washington. Capitol Hill, I'm trying to get a response from people. Nobody wants to say anything because they don't know how to deal with it.
Well,
in addition to the pro forma, any autocrat or would-be autocrat doing anything anywhere is a reflection on Trump and January 6th. I mean, in addition to that tired line of argumentation. The thing that's the most telling is that Dem Flack there saying this stunned Washington. They didn't see it coming. Of course they didn't. They stunned Washington. They didn't see it coming. Our close ally, South Korea, we know what's going on. Our intel community, that is beyond reproach. And all this talk about the deep state focused more on domestic politics than on our international interests and our national security.
With 30,000 troops there.
They're shocked by this. Mm-hmm. Of course they're shocked by this. For more on the topic and related, we're pleased to be joined by Adam Lovinger. He is the Vice President for Strategic Affairs at the Gould Institute for International Strategy, formerly Senior Director for Strategic Assessments at the U.S. National Security Council. His book, The Insider Threat, How the Deep State Undermines America from Within. Adam, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
What's your reaction to, both parts of what you just heard us discussing in the context of the tumult in South Korea? That it's Yoon is what Democrats fear they'll get with Trump. He's going to scramble the military and impose his will through force, and then the surprise reportedly that was running through Capitol Hill and the intel community.
Yeah, I think the most interesting part of this discussion on what's happened in South Korea really is the comparison with Trump. As the American people, made very clear in the November election, a lot of Trump's behaviors and ways of governance are really like sort of baked into the American people's decision calculus. And what I really mean by that is that there's all of this, concern that, Trump has said all these things, all these things that are sort of considered radical by coastal elites, for example, who use the military. What a lot of people, particularly in the chattering classes, and this is not the heartland people of America, or those people who live in what's called flyover country, a lot of what the chattering classes don't really appreciate about Trump is that he's a different type of leader. He's not a typical politician, and his governance style is that he will say lots of things and then see what the reaction is to his comments, and then he'll decide and take action. So I do think that there's this, a lot of people are getting rather tired of this. Everyone's up in arms about, Trump said X, Y, or Z. That's just the way he does business, and then he takes his action. So he's a different type of politician, and we shouldn't apply sort of the normal lens that we apply to other politicians to Trump.
Like, for example, we shouldn't believe that Trump is going to invade and take over Canada and make it our 51st state because he was busting Justin Trudeau's chops.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Right?
I mean, if you look at, we've had 4 years of Trump governance. He's not a typical politician. And so it's very, very tiring for, I think, the ordinary American to think that, to be told that, just because Trump said X, Y, or Z, he's going to do that. It's just not true. He throws things out there. He tests things out. He does exactly what the founders of this country and the framers of the Constitution envisioned, that there is a robust, discussion, a refiner's fire, the best ideas and policies, rise to the surface. The ones that are less so fall to the wayside.
The deep state, the subject of your book, and per your background, it's treated by the establishment in D.C. that even that phrase as sort of conspiratorial and to be dismissed. But you have some examples, substantive examples that suggest that No, there's a real problem there with these massive agencies like the Pentagon engaged in, political dirty tricks.
Yeah, I think it's a very important at the outset to, one, define what the deep state is, and also not to paint too broad of a brush. What I define as the deep state is not just ordinary bureaucrats, but genuinely sort of, a cabal of hyper-empowered bureaucrats who are engaged in lawless, often criminal behavior. And because they work as a group, technically it's a criminal conspiracy. And as far as not painting too broad of a brush, not the entire U.S. national security bureaucracy is not the deep state, but there are certain key nodes that have been sort of institutionally captured for the purpose of weaponizing government against ideological and political enemies of these corrupt bureaucrats. And these are often very boring jobs. It's like, the security clearance office, it's sort of the administrative adjudications office, it's certain offices within the general counsel's office, various personnel jobs, very sort of boring, below the radar stuff. But if you want to weaponize government, if you want to take out your political or ideological adversaries, these are the key nodes to really conquer and capture. And I watched, closely how, if one leader of one of these boring but very important jobs, moves on, there's really a very corrupt process, including fraud, to sort of rig these jobs for, specially groomed operatives. And this is what, it's actually a rather prevalent problem throughout U.S. government. The coastal elites, the chattering classes, like I said, they dismiss it because they're very much a part of it. A lot of mainstream media, particularly the New York Times, they depend upon leaks from the deep state, from the national security bureaucracy, for their scoops. And so they will, of course, deny its existence because as soon as they, admit to what they're doing, a lot of those juicy leaks dry up. But ordinary Americans do know it exists. I mean, poll after poll after poll understands that there's a tyrannical, very corrupt cabal of hyper-empowered bureaucrats who are not working on behalf of the American people, but working on behalf of themselves and foreign interests.
And one of those people may be former President Barack Obama?
Very much so. Barack Obama is he was an extremely clever guy. He recognized in 2009, he went on this thing called the Apology Tour, went all over the world, apologized for the United States, and the American people did not respond well to that. Poll after poll really had his popularity plummeting. So instead of, promoting his vision of a contrite and diminished America and getting people to, buy onto that and ride that bandwagon, when he recognized that the American people wouldn't stand for that, he turned inward. And he weaponized a lot of the sort of the insider threat policies and things that had emerged out of the 9/11 experience when we became so concerned about terrorism. And he used those terrorism capabilities of the government and laws and rules, regulations against insiders who sort of threatened his ideological agenda, which was, really to diminish America.
And so, are we talking about like the Intel community people, the 51 who signed the letter calling the Hunter Biden laptop, classic Russian information campaign? Are we talking about people whose names we don't know who operate as sort of gatekeepers within these agencies? Is it a combination of figureheads and gatekeepers? Is one more prevalent than the other?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. I do think it's a combination as to exactly what proportion of what is which. It's a little bit hard to tell. When I talk about the deep state, what I've seen firsthand and experienced firsthand is really that there's on one hand there are those who are motivated, just by political and ideological agendas, and then there's others who are genuinely compromised by foreign governments. There's a long history that I don't think we probably have enough time on this show to go into that, but a lot of America's enemies realized after the fall of the Soviet Union, the end of the Cold War, that they couldn't really take America on head on, and so they really needed to divide and conquer America from within. So the deep state collaborates with the Russians, the Chinese, and the Iranians, mostly with the Russians, but also the Chinese, but in different ways, to achieve, economic ends, to make money, number one, but also to, corrupt this country. And the Russians and the Chinese and the Iranians, what they get out of it is dividing in America from within. That we're their principal adversary. What the deep state gets out of it is contracts and money and grants to various sort of deep state connected think tanks, et cetera, that they do business with, but also to destroy one's enemies. There's evidence in 2012 that Obama collaborated with Russia to take out Mitt Romney. I have that in my book. And certainly Hillary Clinton was relying upon Russian disinformation for her Steele dossier that she used against Trump. So there's a real confluence of interest here. And you mentioned the 51 intelligence officers. Plenty of them are quite compromised by America's adversaries, principally the Russians. But it's sort of a complicated stew. But when you look at all of the incentive structures, all the various actors you mentioned are aligned, but just what they're achieving, their strategic objectives are slightly different.
The book is The Insider Threat, How the Deep State Undermines America from Within. The author, Adam Lovinger, Vice President for Strategic Affairs at the Gould Institute for International Strategy, former Senior Director for Strategic Assessments at the NSC. Adam, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
I want Christmas. Just give me plain baby Jesus lying in a manger. Christmas.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They're a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner.
When they say free, they really mean check the fine print. They say free iPhone, but only if you trade in your $1,000 phone, pay $100 a month for unlimited data, and also a $35 activation fee. Now, Pure Talk, they have a better option. You'll get a brand new iPhone 14 with unlimited talk, text, 15 gigabytes of data, mobile hotspot for just $50 a month. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, their U.S.-based restoration specialists will fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Black Friday deals are happening now at Gat Guns in East Dundee. Come in Friday the 29th for huge savings on Taurus, Rossi, Savage Arms, ammunition, gun cases, accessories, and more at Gat Guns. On Saturday, November 30th, 6-hour reps will be available for even more sales and factory demos. The Glock rep will be in the store on December 3rd, ready to answer all your questions. The Black Friday deals keep going at Gat Guns with Smith & Wesson on Saturday, December 7th with the best discounts, rebates, and giveaways of the season. Gat Guns is loaded with thousands of guns, over 1 million rounds of ammo, and everything else a shooting enthusiast has on their wish list. Not sure what to select? Choose a gift card in any amount. Whether you're a seasoned pro or a first-time buyer, they've got something special just for you. Don't miss the sales going on now at Gat Guns in East Dundee, Illinois. For more information and directions, visit gatguns.com. That's gatguns.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, it looks like the CEO of United Healthcare that murder he was targeted. That's what the police are saying right now. So, but we'll keep you informed, and so will Mike Scott. Thanks so much to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. Couldn't do it without them. Back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. now with more on that story and much more. Here is Mike Scott.
Fox News will have the very latest on developments in Midtown Manhattan this morning. 2 of the 3 killed in a mass shooting here on the Southwest Side have been identified, and the mayor's firing back at critics. WIND Chicago News Time, 9 o'clock.
It's one of the biggest cases the Supreme Court will consider this term. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A transgender rights case about to consider a challenge to a Tennessee law banning puberty blockers and other gender-affirming care for children. Republican State Senator Jack Johnson tells Fox.
There are potentially long-term harmful side effects of these surgeries and use of these medications.
Critics call the law transgender discrimination.